Everything good?
Okay,
Live chat, tell me. We good?
I think so. Let me see if we're live on YouTube. We're gonna go be live on YouTube as well pretty soon. I see somebody. I see some people that on Facebook are there. Okay, great. Facebook is working. YouTube should be working soon.
15 seconds.
Okay, we're also live on YouTube. Great. All right, Jim. Today we're going to be covering the latest news on atheism, religion, and everything else the Atheist Republic community asks us. We have a lot of interesting news. Thank you for everybody that sent us news suggestions. If you want to send us news suggestions for us to cover, make sure you go into our daily Atheist Republic news that we post on our YouTube channel and the weekly ones and comment the suggestions that you have. Anna, thank you so much for going over the comments and picking the ones that. Oh, what the hell is this? Let me close this. Okay. But before we go over the news, hi everyone in the live chat. Okay, good audio. Let me see on Facebook. I see Emilia, Hook, Hulk, something, Sink, Sean, Neville on YouTube live chat. I see Theomaki, Renzo. Oh, Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Lars, Lars, Mike, Uday. Oh, Mars is here. Beach, hi Beach. Where's Christy? Tim, Old Scratch, uh, Ezekiel, Will. Okay.
J-
Anyways, so
Jeremy, Mikhail.
all right, great. So yeah, I suck at reading names. So really quickly, this is going to be very fast. Before we go cover the news, Jim, can you really quickly thank our new Patreons?
Absolutely. Just want to take a minute to thank you guys for your donations. Without it, we couldn't be the Atheist Republic that we are today. Real quick, our $1 donations from JB, Nolan, Retam Paul. Thank you guys so much for that. We greatly appreciate it. Our $5 donation from Rahul Malhotra. Sorry for butchering that last name. Thank you so much, sir. We greatly appreciate that. And our $10 pledge from Remiguez Wiz and from Helen Heenan. Thank you guys both so much for that. And like I said, we just couldn't do what we do without you guys. So thank you so much for your donations.
All right, great. So let's go for first news.
First news, two more women accuse Neil deGrasse Tyson of sexual misconduct. Neil deGrasse Tyson is accused of sexual misconduct. Dr. Caitlin Ann Allers, an associate professor of physics and astronomy at Bucknell University, said that a groping incident happened in 2009 when Neil noticed her tattoo and grabbed her to look at it. Chia Ahmet said that Tyson raped her in his apartment when they were grad students together. The third woman, former assistant to Tyson, Ashley Watson, said she was forced to quit her job due to his inappropriate sexual advances. Neil deGrasse Tyson responded to the allegations with a lengthy post on Facebook. An investigation will be conducted.
Okay. Okay, this is very sad stuff. I know a lot of people are taking sides. I don't know how people get to take sides without actually being involved in the investigation and knowing
Right.
the stories. I think whenever stories like this happen, people start taking sides, and then they accuse of the other side of either not being skeptical or not not being supportive of the victims. I think people have a huge. There's positions that you could have that people think that these two positions contradict each other when they don't. Okay, and these two positions are: do not change your opinion of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do not think that he, withhold judgment, and at the same time take these accusations seriously. Do not ignore the people that are making these accusations. Do not let people that are potential victims go unheard. Okay? These two positions are not mutually exclusive. You could have these two positions at the same time. I think people don't understand what withholding judgment is like. Withholding judgment is not making a claim, right? You do not have to think that these women are lying, or if what the hell these Facebook. Okay, you do not have to think these women are lying, and you don't have to think that they are telling the truth. You withhold judgment. I don't know how hard that is for people. It's. I think we have to make it, uh, you know, cool. Make it popular to say I don't know. Right? Saying I don't know is not an accusation of lying towards these victims, okay? And saying I don't know is also not an accusation of rape towards Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? With I don't. This is. It's hard for me to understand why this is so difficult, because a lot of some people that think they're being skeptical, they say like, "Oh, there is no evidence. I call bullshit." No, if there is no evidence, you don't call bullshit. If there is no evidence, you withhold judgment, because if you call bullshit, now you're making a claim. If you call bullshit and you make a claim, where's your evidence for it being bullshit? You cannot say there's no evidence, therefore these women are lying. If there is no evidence, then you don't know. Maybe they're telling the truth, right? I call bullshit. There's no evidence. I call bullshit. What the hell? So calling bullshit requires evidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But and again, if you say like, oh, withhold judgment, so people on the other side, oh, okay, so you don't think people that you're not supporting the victims. Well, we don't know if they're victims, okay? But you have to taking it seriously and listening to people is as far as we can go. This is when you say we cannot say they're telling the truth. It is not the same as you making an accusation against the people that you're lying. You know, and again, so you cannot accuse a woman of lying until you have evidence. You cannot accuse the Neil deGrasse Tyson of rape until you have evidence. And there's a third group of people involved here. People that are actually going in and digging deeper and investigating, they get accused of witch hunt. They're not doing a witch hunt. They are the people that are doing the job that me and you don't have the resources or time to do. Okay? They are the people that are actually going in and investigating. People like, oh, leave Neil deGrasse Tyson alone. No! They are the people that are taking the potential victims seriously. Go and investigate. That's not a witch hunt. That's taking the potential victims seriously. Again, potential victims. Okay, and this is again is very difficult for somebody that is either a victim sometimes to hear, or somebody that has experienced being a victim and hasn't been taken seriously before, right? Because if you have been raped, or if you're a victim of sexual misconduct by somebody, and somebody says, well, we have to withhold judgment, you feel like, oh, these are the same people that didn't take me seriously. Right? No, withholding judgment does not mean we're not going to take you seriously. In fact, a lot of these victims have been, the way they have been wronged is not that they were not believed. The way they have been wronged is that they weren't taken seriously. Right? Take them seriously and investigate. Don't go as far as saying, okay, we have to believe anybody that makes an accusation. No. The way you and if you're a victim, you know things that the rest of us don't. Okay, but you can't, even though it's so emotionally difficult for somebody to accept this, that somebody is withholding judgment. You have to understand, like if you know something that the rest of us haven't seen or know, they cannot expect people to be in the same position as you are with the amount of knowledge that you have. The expectations that you should have as a victim is for people not to ignore you. It's for people to actually investigate. It's for people to take your accusation seriously. You should not have, as much of a nightmare you've been through, your expectations shouldn't be for people to believe you automatically, no matter how outrageous the crime was. Anyways, do you want anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember though, these are 4 different accounts. These are 4 different instances we can't treat this as one big case or one big issue when this is 4 separate issues that happened at 4 separate times. So we have to address the evidence for each one individually, and not doing so is doing injustice to the individual women that were allegedly assaulted. But what I will say is that in some of the cases, for instance, with Ashley Watson, she was his assistant, and he invited her to his house for some wine, and she felt pressured because she was his, or he was her boss, and so they went and said that they opened up wine and that he took off his shirt and with just a tank top on, and took off his socks and shoes, and she said that it was just really weird, like the way that he was acting, but then it went on to other allegations. But even if the other allegations aren't true, I mean, it is there's a code of conduct and a code of ethics that you have to abide by, especially if you're somebody with as much influence as Neil deGrasse Tyson. And so first, I will say that even if nothing happened, just the fact that he invited her, him being a married man and her being a newly employed assistant, that really seems like a power move to me, and it seems really inappropriate. And that's
come
just
on. Okay.
I mean, it does to me.
You being a Puritan. I mean, if I'm married, does that mean that half the population of this planet now becomes like I have to be more careful because they're different gender? I don't know.
No,
I'm not. But the thing is that we don't know what happened. It could be as bad as. I mean, I don't know what happened. Okay, maybe you know more than I do, right? But it could be extremely bad. It could be very innocent. Okay.
Well, we also have to remember these are four separate women who do not know each other, who have not collaborated in any way, and these happened, years apart from each other.
Okay, so that makes it more likely. I don't know how the math on that works, right? I'm not saying it's Occam's razor is not evidence, right? It is Occam's razor though. So and again, I don't know what goes through people's. Again, I don't want to make any claims, right? Because I want to respond to you, but if my response to you would require me making claims about these women that I don't know, right? So I rather not respond. I'd rather not come up with I'd rather not come up with hypothetical situations to respond to you, because if these women actually have been wrong, it would be very it would be very unfair to them for me to come up with hypothetical situations where the story would be different, right? Like I can't imagine how difficult it must be for actual victims to hear people come up with scenarios where it could have been something different, right? So I'm not going to do that. I just want to say that it's the best position to have without actual hard evidence, without not like playing the probability game, is to just be like, without evidence, without hard evidence, I don't know. And guess what? There are people that are responsible for figuring these things out, right? They are even so one level higher than me and you are journalists, and above them are the police and judges, right? And this is why you pay tax, right? It's their job. They have more experience to figure these things out, and maybe they would never. Maybe they would never figure it out, which is sad if these people are victims. But the thing is that they are in a much better position and with much more experience and knowledge and understanding to investigate these things. And I think just sitting back in our chair and thinking like, well, blah, blah, this could have happened. I don't. It's here's this is so easy. Look how this is how it's done. I don't know. See, that's so easy. I don't know. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Wait.
I mean,
just wait. Maybe wait. I mean, unless you're taking the responsibility to investigate. I'm not saying everybody should wait. Like, I know there's a whole bunch of people that makes it their job to go investigate. And again, they even if you are a skeptic, they are doing their. I mean, if somebody is spending time investigating this, thank you. Whatever the outcome is, we should thank them as well. But go on. Sorry.
Well, in a perfect world, you're right. In a perfect world, we would reserve judgment until we somebody else has made a conclusion. But the fact of the matter is, each individual person has their own set standard of evidence, and when you meet that standard of evidence, and it's different. Everybody has their own cognitive biases. Everybody has their own way of thinking that prevents them from thinking completely rationally. Like, for instance, a lot less people are more apt to come out against Neil deGrasse Tyson than they were, say, if a preacher, or a priest had done these sexual allegations. But the fact is that there is circumstantial evidence that these women's stories are true, or at least some of them. Like, for instance, the one. Dr. Caitlin Allers. She was associate professor of physics and astronomy at Bucknell University, and Neil saw her tattoo of a solar planet on her back and grabbed her by the shoulder to look at it, and then traced it down, saying that he was trying to find Pluto. And he has actually admitted that yes, he saw her tattoo, he did grab her, he did touch her without consent. So I mean, even just that, and he said that he didn't remember looking for Pluto. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that we can't cut somebody a break, especially
We're
whenever
not cutting them a
they are
break.
at.
Okay,
But when
this is, again,
but
a lot of people think when you say you don't know means you're cutting them a break. No, if you are saying this needs to be investigated, how are you cutting them a break? How is that
because of
cutting
his
them a
own
break?
admission, he touched her without consent by her bare shoulders.
He said no. I read this. He didn't. I read his statement. That wasn't necessarily what he said. But can you read
It,
what he said exactly word by word? Because
his statement regarding her, yeah, sure, I'll pull it up. But I do know
but
that he didn't.
anyways,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay, but what you're accusing him of is completely different from what he's actually being accused of right now here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is that at the very minimum, he was engaging in inappropriate behavior.
Yeah, and he should apologize for that. If that's it could be very small mistake. It could be it could be as bad as rape. It could be as small as inappropriate behavior, and it
Right.
could be anything in between. Okay.
That's true.
And it's you're not cutting some if you're saying this needs to be investigated, that's not cutting them. It's like, by the way, when you mention priests, I just want to add something. I just want to mention to all the atheists out there that are fans of Neil and are saying we need to be skeptical. I hope you have the same level of skepticism when a priest is accused of child molestation. Let's try to be non-tribal here. If you demand evidence before you believe something, or before you reject something, again, evidence for believing and rejecting. Don't reject something because you have no evidence. No evidence means withhold judgment. No evidence does not mean reject. But if you're doing this for the people on our side, you have to have the same standard for other people as well. Don't assume that somebody is a Catholic priest, so accusations of child molestation, obviously it's true, he's a fucking priest. No, we withhold judgment until there is evidence. This is not a tribal thing. This is the same standard that we have to have for everybody. But go on, sorry.
He said that in his statement that it was. He said that he did not grope her or search up her dress, but it was simply a search under the covered part of her shoulder of the sleeveless dress.
Did he say without consent? Did he say without consent?
Yeah. He said that anybody or many in his fan base can attest to the fact that he gets almost giddy if he notices that you're wearing cosmic bling clothing or jewelry or tattoos that portray the universe, either scientifically or artistically. And those are his own words. He said that he said he doesn't explicitly remember searching for Pluto, but he did say that is surely something that he would have done in that situation.
But it doesn't say without consent, Jim. That's just your assumption. I'm not saying he didn't do it without consent, but there's nothing in there that he suggests that he did it without consent.
It doesn't say that he asked her or that she
but it doesn't say
permitted him.
Yeah, it doesn't say he asked her. It didn't say he didn't ask her. Okay.
But he didn't deny that allegation
Yeah.
of
He
doing it
didn't
without
deny
consent.
it. He didn't confirm it. Again, I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying we don't know. We don't know.
What about with Ashley Watson, where he said, "If I hug you, I might just want more," and this is his assistant, and he has actually admitted
He
to
said
saying
that's
that.
he said
He
that
said,
he said that that's his way of getting out of hugs.
"Oh, come on, that sounds like a cop out." I mean, because
That could sound like many things. It's not evidence. Whatever it sounds like to you, Jim, it's not evidence.
it doesn't sound suggestive at all, or like a sexual innuendo.
No, you say, "Hey, can I get a hug?" And you're like, "No. If you give me a hug, I might want more." That suggests to me like you trying to get out of a hug. It might
It,
not be. It might be what
it
you're saying. Again, I don't know.
okay, that's fair enough.
Okay. So again, this might seem very insensitive to somebody that is actually a victim of rape. All right, if you are a victim and you hear people not agreeing, not believing you, I understand how difficult and how angry you might feel. But again, the crime against you as a victim is people not taking you seriously. That should be your standard. Your standard should be like, this is my accusation. Please investigate. Please don't ignore me. Please investigate. Your standard should not be, this is my accusation. Please believe me. Okay? And if and to be quite frank, a lot of actual victims have been ignored, completely ignored, never investigated. Okay, so going from
Right.
ignoring victims and potential victims to actually investigating and listening to people and taking them seriously, that's a huge progress. Don't mess this progress by asking for believing without investigation. This is huge progress
Right.
for all these accusations not to go ignored. Okay?
Sure. Sure, but that doesn't mean that we can't apply what we do know about it to
No,
our speculation, because
don't
it's human
speculate
nature.
these. Okay.
But it's human nature, Armin. I mean, in a perfect world, we wouldn't speculate, but it's human nature to have a cognitive bias and to
Well,
speculate one way or another.
it's human nature to rape and kill and murder, but we can do better than our nature. Right? Being
I feel
skeptical.
like that is a much stronger impulse,
What?
the impulse to have a
No,
an opinion about
rape and
something than
murder.
it is to
Okay,
rape or
so
murder. I feel like it's a lot easier for me to make up my mind without
no.
all of the evidence, or to have an opinion without all of the evidence, to have a bias one way or another, than it is for me to rape or murder. I feel like it's
Well,
a lot easier for that.
yeah. So here, milder examples. Pattern seeking is a human nature. It doesn't help us now in the modern world, right? Not being skepticism is not a big thing in human nature. Like skepticism is something we learn, right? Believing in things fast and letting go of our beliefs, um, on holding on to our beliefs is more in line with our nature than skepticism than skepticism is. But we can learn to do better than our nature, right? We
I
can,
agree.
right? So, um, speculating things, you can speculate, but don't claim it as something that could be true. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think, yeah. Okay.
In the
Especially when you could screw up people's lives, either the victims or the people or the people that are being accused. If you can speculate about many things, but you need to be more careful with your speculations if people's lives are on the line. Um,
Yeah.
Let me read the top comment. Jonathan is saying, "I'm 100% supportive of women who have actually been assaulted, but her photo looks uh, a hell of a lot like my encounter with Dr. Tyson when he decided to check out my necklace and I wasn't assaulted." Okay, but again, Jonathan, I'm I don't know if you're making a claim here or not. Doesn't sound like a claim, I guess. The thing is that the tattoo was on her body and your necklace is on top of your shirt. But this, yeah. Robin is saying he was looking for Pluto, not Uranus. Uranus, chill. Okay, that's
Oh, Uranus.
Uranus. Okay. Steve is saying, yeah, I expected those jokes. Steve is saying, so now he can be Supreme Court Justice or maybe President even. Jennifer is saying, so now flirting is sexual misconduct. No, Jennifer. See, again, people on both sides make these women are. Jennifer is saying these women are sick. Again, people, you guys are on both sides of this, are just believing in things. If you say these women are sick, flirting is sexual misconduct. You don't know if it was just flirting. It could have been actual sexual misconduct. You don't know. People on both sides, people that are just believing the woman or people that are just defending Neil deGrasse Tyson, your claims are based on nothing. You don't know. You're just taking sides without based on nothing. Okay, Steve is saying.
Well, I can tell you that what I base mine on is what's coming from both sides, where both sides overlap, where his admissions or her accusations overlap each other, and that's where I get my stance. Now, I'm not coming out saying that he is guilty of all four of these things, of everything that's being alleged. But like I said, I will give my opinion about what we do know about what has been admitted by both of them or alleged by both of them.
You know, being not these kind of accusations, but other types of accusation where I have been involved in seeing what goes on behind the scenes, and then people speculating outside, like looking at the people's tweets and knowing what actually happened without being able to say. I see how people just connect dots together that are not really there. You know what I mean? So that's when I see that, I become even more skeptical. And sometimes actually you see people that are even being like, you see something behind the scene and some people actually come up with the right conclusions and you're like, wow, how did they figure that out? But a lot of other people just connect things together. Like, it's just, when you don't know, you don't know. Anyway, Steve is saying, so basically no man may ever in any way interact with or have contact with a female with anything other than a handshake, keeping a minimum of 2 inches between them at all times, keeping an eye contact or looking at the ceiling, and then must okay, this is not written properly. Immediately to take 2 full steps back from said female, and may not speak to her again unless she speaks to him first. I'm glad I got the rules straight. Again, Steve, you don't know if this is being exaggerated. People think like, okay, these women are making a big deal out of nothing. You don't know that. It might have been really bad behavior, and then it might have
exactly, and that's a logical fallacy. We're not talking about somebody making eye contact or brushing against somebody. So that's a really poor
right.
comparison.
Yeah, I'm saying this might have been nothing at all, and it might have also been extremely bad behavior. We don't know. Again, I'm not seeing anybody. Why am I not seeing any of these comments being skeptical? And everybody's taking sides. Lainey is saying, lady has visible large solar system tattoo at an astronomy conference, gets pissy when other astronaut at party wants to look at it. Well, you can't touch people without their consent. Deep is saying, accusations are not evidence. Law says innocent until proven guilty. Okay, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
I agree.
Finally, somebody, we got somewhere. Okay, let's look at the Facebook. No, the YouTube live chat. Can you look at the YouTube live chat while I look at the Facebook live chat?
Sure, the YouTube live chat. Theo Mackey says, it's so easy. I don't know. My back broke. You lied to me. I don't know what that means. Okay. Jeremy Pace says, let's all agree he was looking for Pluto, LOL. Uday says, after reading his defense, I just can't help thinking that the #MeToo campaign can sometimes go completely overboard. I will agree with you in the sudden urge to jump on the he's guilty train. Let's see. Theo Mackey says, Armin, I'm with you. Jim just wants to make a judgment. I mean, we all want to make a judgment. It's our nature. But I will do my best to only make a judgment about what evidence I have. Jeremy Pace says, I don't know, dude. Pattern recognition in the modern world is still very useful. Yeah, exactly. Pattern
Yeah,
recognition it's
pattern
human
rec-
nature.
pattern recognition is useful, but we suck at it. No, real pattern recognition would be good, but the problem with our brain is that we see pattern in places where there is no pattern.
But the problem is that we can't turn it off.
No, and that's why we have science, because it adjusts for that bias. But go on.
Renzo says, let's suppose he's guilty. Would that be a reason to declare him an evil person and ban him from public life? Or could we still appreciate his talents and accept his human flaws? Nobody's perfect after all.
Okay,
well, mean,
if he's guilty of rape or what? No. If he's guilty of rape, we can assume that he's not a good person. Come on, like there is some.
Yeah, because the morality does not depend upon your
that's
talent.
That's not a flaw that you could be like, yeah, everybody. Some people lie, some people eat too much sugar, and some people rape. Because everybody has their flaw. No,
right. Like if somebody opens up a homeless shelter, they take in 100 homeless people and they cook 20 of them and feed them back to the other 80 homeless people. Is that a moral soup kitchen? Like, it's not, because the end doesn't justify the means. In cases like this.
So yeah, there are some things that, anyways. By the way, Theomaki is shouting at you, Jim. When you said everybody wants to make a judgment, Theomaki is shouting, I do not want to make a judgment. We do not all want to make a judgment. So Theomaki is not making a judgment. He's withholding judgment. So that's a response to you.
Okay.
Okay, so by the way, dear Facebook people, I forgot to mention this to you. If you guys want me to read any comments, please make sure you tag Atheist Republic, because there's too many comments for me to check. Sorry, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the chat. Nobody's perfect. No. Okay. So let's see. A woman to. Okay. So should we go? Jim, Jim? We are all ganging up on Jim today. Sorry. Are you okay?
No, I'm good. You could bring it.
Jamie is saying, "What a grubby little piece of clickbait." Well, I mean, this is not clickbait. This is victims being, again, a lot of people that are saying are skeptical, which is good, saying, why do we cover these stories? Well, because you could be skeptical and take potential victims seriously and cover their stories at the same time. Just because you're skeptical doesn't mean that this shouldn't get attention. Taking potential victims seriously is not making a claim. This story should get attention because these are potential victims. Again, okay. So, should we go to the next news?
Anti-vax movement blamed for 30% jump in measles cases worldwide. The UN said that measles cases around the world jumped more than 30% last year compared to 2016. Experts blame the problem in part of misinformation and complacency about a vaccine in Europe. In Venezuela, the crippling political and economic crisis triggered the massive inflation. Over the last 12 months, Germany, Russia, and Venezuela have had their measles elimination certificate withdrawn. So that's very serious.
See, this is when I say people say, "Oh, let people believe what they want." No, beliefs influence action. Okay, beliefs influence our behavior, and wrong beliefs are dangerous. Okay, wrong beliefs that don't reflect reality fuck our lives like this. People believing that vaccines, this is when they say anti-vax movement, are there any specifics? Like, these are any specific groups, like people that say vaccines cause autism, shit like that?
It's just all these groups put together, all the groups that are rejecting the evidence that supports vaccines being beneficial to herd immunity. It's just the entire anti-vax movement together.
These people, they don't know that they're like how much harm they're causing. But again, this
Yeah.
is
Well,
this.
but then again, in places like in Venezuela, this is just due to the massive inflation, and the hospitals just can't keep a stock of the vaccines.
So which one? So yeah. So this is two different things then, right? But because the title of the article says the anti-vax movement blamed for 30% jump in measles cases. So it's not talking about
Right.
just the prices. So which one is more? So let me see. The UN said 30%. Experts blame the problem in part. Okay, so partly of the misinformation and complacency about vaccines in Europe. Okay, so so there's two different things that is happening, but for Venezuela specifically, it's about the economic crisis. But it
Yeah,
seems like
correct.
but for the rest of the world, it seems like misinformation and the anti-vax movement is mostly responsible for a jump in these diseases.
Right, like Europe's blaming it on the spread of misinformation and complacency about the vaccine, the measles vaccine in particular.
Right. So, this is interesting because when it comes to religion, for example, Islam, especially when we fight Islam, people always say like, "Oh, let people believe what they want. It's not hurting anybody as long as they're not killing us." But this is a example that forget religion. Just let's move out of religion. This shows how being gullible and just believing things without evidence and not having an understanding and how you find credible information even outside of religion could mess people's lives, and how it's responsible for results that is not that is not beneficial to us or to our, it goes in the best interest of the individual. Again, this is very I don't understand why I have to. Needs explanation, because a lot of people say like, "Hey, if people believe what they want, as long as they keep it to themselves and they don't force it on us, let them believe what they want." Okay. First of all, when they say that, let them believe what they want, I don't understand what they mean, because nobody's forcing our views on them. We're just inviting them to consider our views, right? And there is it's the claim that the more your belief is based on reality, the less mistakes you're going to make, the less the more beneficial decisions you're going to make. That the more decisions you make is reflecting beliefs based on reality, the more your conclusions and the more your actions you take based on those decisions is going to benefit you and everyone around you. That doesn't seem like an extraordinary claim, right? That seems like given to me. And I always make the example of like, imagine, Jim, you have a map and I have a map, and we're both looking for treasure. And my map, your map reflects everything perfectly where it is, or at least as accurate as it could be. And my map has everything all over the place. Obviously, you're way more likely to find the treasure than I am. And our belief system is like the map that we have of reality. It will never be exactly what reality is, but the closer it is to reality, the more we could better navigate this world. And when people say, "Oh, if people have harmless nonsense belief," I would say if you allow harmless belief without evidence, you're also allowing harmful belief without evidence. The problem with these people is the gullibility. If people just believe nonsense, you really don't have control over what nonsense they're going to believe in. You really don't. If you don't introduce a filter for people to recognize what's bullshit and what's not, then after that, you don't have really control over where these beliefs could land. It could either be harmful or it could be harmless.
It's true. I agree with you.
Right. Do you want anything to add before I look at the comments on Facebook?
No, that was good.
Rosa is saying, plot twist, anti-vaxxers are actually shills for Big Coffin. Wow, that was dark. Ronnie is saying, Big Pharma will use any excuse to shame people into using their products. Oh my God. I can't believe that's one of the top comments here. This is, yeah. We have a lot of atheist anti-vaxxers, by the way.
I feel like a lot of these commenters don't even read the article; they just read the headline and then just make their own assumption.
Daniel is saying, came here to find the conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer lunatic. Was not disappointed. Oh my god. You know, as Big Pharma. I don't know if people understand how fucked up this world would be without Big Pharma right now. Daniel is saying, wouldn't it be better for the human race if all the anti-vax morons went to a scheduled, a secluded area and get very sick there? They say you can't fix stupid, and that seems to hold true. No, Daniel, you can't fix stupid. You can educate people, and no matter how wrong anti-vaxxers are, they don't deserve to suffer for it. A lot of people talk about the Darwin Award, and I always tell them that being stupid or being wrong does not make you deserving of such punishments. Yeah, it's very. I think we need to be sympathetic towards people that are wrong and try to help them out instead of trying to demonize them. Yeah. Emily is saying, "Hey guys, raise your hand if you've ever read a vaccine package insert, not the not the down piece of paper the doctor gives you, the actual piece of paper that came." By the way, for people who didn't see, Jim raise his hand, but the actual piece of paper that came with the vaccine. Do you know what that VAERS is? It's something you pay into if you pay taxes. It's a fund of people injured by vaccines. Why would we need that? Okay, there are some people that should not get vaccinated, but they are very small in number. And if only those people don't get vaccinated, the whole will still be fine. But the anti-vaxxers, if they're successful, then the number of people that don't get vaccinated is going to put us all at risk. So I don't know if Emily is talking about the people that are the very few minority group of people that shouldn't get vaccinated. But yeah, when I went and got my flu shot, not only did we read the actual ingredients, the doctor kind of made us. We were forced to actually go through the ingredients with him. I was like, "Hey, I'm just here for a flu shot," and he actually had to go over everything, all the strains and everything, and I was like, "Okay, yeah." But yeah, Jim, you've read the ingredients?
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody follows anybody who follows the news probably already knows, but I used to be anti-vaxxer back when I was a believer, and it all came down to some misinformation. People saying, somebody once told me that there was mercury and that there was aluminum in these vaccines, and I was just really blown away, and I was like, no, there's no way. I'm gonna have to check this out myself. So sure enough, when I took my daughter to get her regular checkup, they said that she needed her vaccines. Before they gave them to her, I said, well, I want to see the packet. That's what was recommended to me, was that I look at the insert. And I looked at the insert, and I saw the thimerosal. It's a preservative that contains mercury in it, and there was also aluminum adjuvants. And so I was like, well, no, you're not vaccinating my daughter. But it wasn't until years later that I actually did more research in it, and the thimerosal, it does contain mercury. It's a preservative, but it's added to the vaccines that contain more than one dose to prevent the growth of bacteria inside of the vaccine. And which now most of the vaccines, they've removed thimerosal and they've used something else in it. The aluminum salts and stuff are added to the vaccines to give them a better response with your body. It gives them it allows them to give a lower dosage of the vaccine. So there's reasons why these things are in there, and people automatically see these words and they don't associate with how our body processes them or doesn't process them, and we come to our own assumptions because we're so fucking smart. We know everything.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's also people don't understand the difference between mercury, just the element, without an oxidized, because they're mercury, because they're completely different, and they function differently in your body, right? One of them is dangerous and one of them is not. Is that part of the problem also? Like, is it mg or
Yes.
yeah.
So, thimerosal, or however you say it, it's exactly what it is. It's an antiseptic, and it blocks the growth of bacteria. But it does contain mercury, but not it's
Not the
so.
pure element, the oxidized version of it, right?
Right. So
Right.
so it's what it is
Again,
ethyl
I studied
ethyl
these things
mercury.
in.
Okay, it's a different. It's an organic compound. It attaches to the mercury molecule, and it doesn't dissolve in the body. It doesn't. It's not processed, and the kidneys filter it out. Just like it does anything else that we eat. I mean, do people know how many trace metals we eat on a daily basis? How much aluminum, mercury? I mean, so many trace poisons that you put into your body without knowing it, that our body filters out. Like, that's why we have a filtration system.
Vicky is saying Darwinism will take care of them, I'm sure, but if some anti-vax family gives my baby measles, I'm bringing hell. Again, Vicky, there's three problems with that way of thinking. First of all, people that are wrong or stupid, they don't deserve to die. They don't deserve the Darwin Award. And
You're also encouraging the death of herd immunity too, by telling these people to go ahead and let Darwin do it. You're encouraging the spread of this idea and these diseases.
Right, that was going to be my third point. Second
I'm
point,
sorry.
yeah, the second point is that a lot of these people are making these decisions for innocent children. Even if you think people they are wrong, their children don't deserve to suffer for their parents being wrong. And the third problem is that these people that are deciding not to get vaccinated, they're putting all of us at risk, not just themselves, because people getting vaccinated does provide herd immunity, right? So let me someone in the Facebook live chat, Paul is saying, why are people so quick to blame autism on vaccinations rather than the poisoning of our food and water? Anti-vax is anti-fax. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. I think one reason why people think vaccines cause autism is because signs of autism starts showing up around the same age where you're supposed to go get vaccinated, and basically the correlation between the timing of when people go get vaccination and when the signs of autism start showing up makes people think that, oh, my kids didn't have any problems until I went and got vaccinated. That's something I heard? I haven't looked into it to see if that's part of the reason behind the misinformation.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the bottom line, it is misinformation. But as far as the autism thing goes, I mean, I honestly think that's just the majority is the spread of misinformation. I mean, it's because there is no scientific evidence to back that up.
There's zero. Yeah, Grant is saying mercury does not occur naturally. It's not good for your body, even in low dosage, oxidized or not. So
ethyl mercury is not mercury. Ethyl mercury is an entirely different compound. And ethyl mercury helps not only as a preservative for people who are allergic to these antibiotics, to these vaccines. It allows us to give them a smaller dose than what we would otherwise have to give them, because it increases its potency. And like I said, this ethyl mercury is filtered out through the kidneys. Had it been mercury, then yes, everybody who got a vaccine would die. This isn't some kind of conspiracy where they only give one in every 300,000 autism. Okay, this is I mean, vaccines are a science. The same science that everybody uses. I mean, for their medication. It's
yeah. This is like the science behind this is so. I mean, there's so much evidence for this that if anybody understood how to look these things up, like I think when people do research, what they're missing is not how to just look up information, but they need to also find out how to look up the credibility of where the information. I think that's the type of education that we need, right? Not how to check whether the information you're getting is based on peer-reviewed academic research or is just based on some article. And one tip I have for people is not just because something is in a research or something is an opinion of a doctor doesn't make it right. You have to look at we have shitty research out there as well. You have to look for peer-reviewed academic research. That's what you need to do, and you also need to make sure that it's not, the research is not funded by a company, like it's not a private research or company research. It needs to be peer-reviewed academic research, okay? And that's something one thing that is really good is like what is it called? Meta-analysis, right? When you bringing a whole bunch of different research together and try to use the data from all of them to come up with a conclusion. So those are the things to look for. Is that what it's called? Meta-analysis, right?
Right. Well, and people who don't understand science and who make these baseless claims and who don't know people with autism or aren't familiar with autism know that autism is a spectrum. Autism is like cancer. There's different types of cancer. There's different types of autism. There's different types of severity of it. But the fact of the matter is that vaccinations have saved far more children than they have hurt. I mean, with any medical practice, there is always the risk of malpractice or the risk of something going wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm surprised in the top comments I didn't see anybody saying, well, I didn't get any vaccinations and I'm okay. You always hear somebody saying that. And I used to hear that from my parents when they wanted to defend smoking. And they would always say, well, so-and-so smokes and he's like 70 years old and he seems to be fine and he's full of energy, so I don't think smoking is bad for you. Again, people, and usually when somebody says that, it gets a lot of likes. I don't understand why. Hey, I didn't get vaccinated and I'm totally fine. Yeah, and I mean, anecdotal evidence. Do you think you, as one person, you're statistically significant? How does that even work? I'm actually surprised that there was no one here, because usually you get that one person that says, nobody does.
Well, and most cases regarding autism are genetic. They're genetic mutations. Like, we're not talking about something that's from an external source. I mean, it's
All right, let me read the YouTube live chat. Theo Mikey saying, crap, what's next? Smallpox. Axel is saying, I'm pretty sure somewhere in Italy that was anti-vaccine area has also had a measles epidemic. Theo Mikey saying, panicking soccer moms in sweatpants watching YouTube videos from conspiracy theories are going to end up causing a damn plague. Wow, that was pretty extreme. Theo Mikey saying, someone should just tell these anti-vaxxers, of course vaccines work and don't cause autism. You people aren't sick and you don't have autism. Let me believe what I want is the battle cry of someone who can't defend their beliefs and want to be willfully ignorant. Mars is saying, a friend of mine's sister is both an anti-vaxxer and believes in alternative medicine. Oh my God, I hope she doesn't get sick. Her daughter is now paying... Oh no. Her daughter is now paying for the price for it. Bad ideas need to be terminated. Wow, so sad. Axel is saying, Armin, are you calling for the beginning of the bullshit police? Well, I thought that's what we're doing here. You guys on the live chat and us here together, we're trying to be the bullshit police.
Yep.
Yeah, Moose Gal is saying, vaccines cause autism is the rallying cry of Jennifer McCarthy in the U.S. people, and also that other guy. What are the celebrities that are? Anyways, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
People should believe what they want until facts override their thinking. Well, I mean, people should be able to think what they want, and we should be able to challenge what they think, right? So when people say, "Oh, people should be able to believe what they want," yeah, nobody says that we should force them to believe something else, but usually they say that when we are trying to challenge their ideas, and they say we
Yeah.
challenging their ideas is not does not go against their freedom to believe what they want.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a doctor named Andrew Wakefield, and in 1998, he had this plan to get a whole lot of money from this litigation regarding vaccine, and so he published this paper falsely with false information that purported the MMR vaccine to cause autism. And after a while, his paper was proven to be false, and they stripped him of his medical license, and the paper was withdrawn, but that paper still circulates, and people are still sharing that letter because it says Dr. Andrew Wakefield on it, and they're passing it around. And what's her name? Jenny McCarthy is all over Facebook, and that's one of her favorite things to promote. I believe she's a homeschooling mom, and she has a bunch of kids, and she doesn't vaccinate her kids, and it's yeah.
fucking sad. Jack is saying vaccines cause an immune response. It can cause fever. Fevers are dangerous but manageable. It's common for parents to fail to address a kid's fever properly, and that can cause issues. I mean, vaccines do cause fever because your body is learning how to fight back. That's the whole point of it, right? Jackie continues, many cases about vaccines causing harm actually come down to parental failure addressing fevers. I saw one kid in the hospital brought in a snowsuit with a fever. Maybe a lot of parents start panicking when the kids get fever after a vaccine. Will Philly, I don't know what your name is. The rise of autism can be traced by us testing autism more. Maybe. Interesting. Muska is saying, yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say you can't. If you're gonna be scientific about it, you can't go out with this thought in mind, like I'm going to prove that autism is caused by vaccines, because that's not how science works. I mean, you don't develop a conclusion and then try to figure how to get at it. That's how you unknowingly manipulate variables in your experiment.
No, yeah, but the claim here is that he or she thinks that maybe the reason why we're detecting more autism is because we're testing for it. Nothing to do with vaccines, right?
Well, I mean, cancer is rising too. Cancer rates are also rising. So, I mean, maybe there's some kind of correlation with genetic disorders or something like that. I don't know.
Muska is saying, James, I'm very proud of you educating yourself. Muska, I think you mean Jim. I am very proud of you educating yourself over vaccines. If we cannot learn and absorb a new information, how do we grow as a person?
Right. Right.
Yes. Jim has done a lot of that, which is very good.
I used to think the Earth was 10,000 years old. So, I mean,
wow.
it's quite the leap.
Theo Mikey saying we're the BS police. Oh, we are, starting with you too. Oh, thank you, Armin.
We're the BS police. We are shitlock and assholes.
So, but Theo Mikey has some criticism for us. Theo Mikey saying Armin, libertarianism is crap. Jim, you assume too much. Okay. Muscal is saying there's a chickenpox outbreak in North Carolina. 36 students at some school were diagnosed with the disease. There's a newspaper that reported it. Last comment for this news before we go to the next news. Muska is saying the school has one of the state's highest rates of religious exemption, allowing students to skip vaccine. This is when religious bullshit and non-religious bullshit come and work hand in hand to inflict the most damage. All right, so we should go to the next news.
Donald Trump didn't say the Christian prayer at George H.W. Bush's funeral. During George H.W. Bush's funeral, President Trump did not recite the Apostles' Creed, a famous Christian prayer. The program calls for the prayers to be said in unison, but President Trump stood with his hands folded in front of him, the program in his left hand, his lips not moving.
Why?
Uh,
I don't
it,
know.
honestly, because I think he just he doesn't know how to act human for like 5 minutes.
Well, I mean,
eh,
yeah, go on.
I mean, they say that it's a Christian prayer. That's how it's purported, but it's kind of inaccurate. That's not something done in every Christian church. The Apostles' Creed is something that is exclusive to Catholicism. Well, not exclusive to Catholicism, but the usage of it in repetition and in unison being spoken is in Catholicism. I don't know what Trump's denomination is, but I do know that he does claim to be one of the best Christians. So yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think a lot of people are gonna make a lot of assumptions about this. I think he's just very. I don't know. I don't know why he didn't do it, but it's not. He's not an atheist. He's not any. He just, to me, it seems like just like a sponge that just absorbs everything's around him and just reflects it. I don't know. But yeah, I just it's not like, are people suggesting that this means that he doesn't believe in Christianity or something? Because it doesn't seem like that to me. Like maybe
Well,
maybe he's just uncomfortable being there. He's just like, get me out of here. I don't want to do this.
yeah, but I mean, it has to do with also being presidential. I mean, at the same time, he
No.
has, and yeah, of course,
I mean,
I mean,
if
it's
this was any other person that didn't, I would probably respect this. I like, yeah, United States president not giving into religious bullshit, awesome. But if it's this guy, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that was the reasoning behind it. I think he's just not like, he just doesn't want to do what the other people are doing. Like, if the actual motivation, if it was a different president, and we knew from somehow that this president is not very religious or not religious at all, and that's why he's not reading it, I would see that as progress, right? I wouldn't
of
be like, he has
course.
to be presidential. I wouldn't say that this is something expected of you. Or like, yes, this is great. He's showing that you don't have to be Christian to be presidential. But this guy, I don't know what the hell he's thinking, right? But another thing people are gonna say is that, oh, making fun of the Christians that voted for him, saying like, haha, you Christians, you're all idiots. Look, this guy doesn't even pray, doesn't even sing, do the prayer at the church. You guys are losers. Yeah, but if you put yourself in the Christian position, they're like, oh, I think they won, because they're like, okay, you have your fun with the fact that he's not praying in a church, while we take our judges, right? And we take that is gonna be in our favor for next generation, even way longer after Trump is gone. Like, I think the fact that the Christians in the United States saw beyond Trump's personal life and just strategically voted for this guy because of the judges he's going to be choosing, was very strategic of them and is paying off to them a lot. So if atheists and non-Christians see this as a win, I think the Christians in the United States have way more way more to be happy about than him not doing a prayer at the church. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, I just enjoy pointing out the hypocrisy of him saying so many times how great of a Christian that he was, and while he's standing there with what was it, two ex-presidents, three ex-presidents, that he
One, two,
somehow
three.
could not. Um, I mean, because if you're gonna call yourself a Christian, I mean, and then you're not going to do it. I mean, he said that Barack Obama was a Muslim, and the Muslim sitting here talking about Jesus Christ and reciting this pledge, this profession of faith, And it just seems hypocritical to me that the quote unquote Muslim ex-president over here is reciting the Apostles' Creed, and the one who claims to be one of the greatest Christians or one of the best Christians, just standing there with this pouty look on his face.
I mean, it's Trump. What do you expect? I really don't think that Trump even know who he is anymore. I think he played the character for so long that he doesn't even he just tell me what role I'm supposed to play right now. I think I just think he doesn't even. Again, this is assumptions. I don't know. But to me, it seems like he just throws shit at the wall, and whatever sticks, he just goes with that. And if he's bored, he doesn't want to do it. He just doesn't do it.
Right.
I don't think.
Did you see in Venezuela when he had the photo op with the Venezuelan president, I believe, and they were standing there shaking hands, and Trump just walks off while they're taking photos, and the guy from Venezuela is just standing there like, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Theo Mackie in the live chat saying a sponge. I've heard Trump get compared to a Cheeto chip and an orange, but a sponge is a new one. Well, I mean, his views become the views of the people that are around him at the time. That's what it is. Whatever just works, he plays the audience. That's what he does. He just sees what's working and he just goes with that. That's his views are basically he absorbs the. That's why people always want to be the last person that talk to him before he comes up with a decision, because they know that the last thing that was said is going to be his view. So, I don't know if he holds any views himself. I think he just goes with what works. So, again, these are, as we said, we don't make assumptions, but I don't have any evidence for this. The standard for making assumptions, when we come up with speculating, I said we need to be more careful with speculating if it fucks someone's life, right? If it's harmless speculations, I think it's okay to speculate while saying that you're not sure, you don't know, this is just mere speculations. I just think we need to be more careful with speculations if your speculations could harm someone's life.
What about holding somebody to their claims even when they act contradictory, in a contradictory manner? Like for instance, if Trump sits there and says, I don't like McDonald's, I don't like McDonald's, I don't like McDonald's, and then one day you see the paparazzi snap a picture of him with a lap full of McDonald's, then you point that out, even though it doesn't matter, it's not harmful. You still point out the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know. I'm not against pointing out hypocrisy.
That's my only problem with it. I could care less whether he says the prayer or not, but I care that he's being hypocritical.
Yeah, but of course he's hypocritical. He's Trump. I agree with you on that. No, I agree with you on that. Alec is saying, me, and again, I know a lot of people in the Atheist Republic are Trump supporters. We have a lot of people that hate Trump. We have a lot of people that don't care, and we have a lot of people that support Trump. And if you manage to disagree with us and stick around, congratulations. You're not a sensitive snowflake. But yeah, Jim and I are going to have many views that a lot of people in the Atheist Republic are going to completely disagree with. And I'm hoping that at least some of you that disagree with us are mature enough to stick around, even if you disagree with us, and just tell us why you disagree with us. So Alex was saying, me, I'm fine if Trump's an atheist. Also me, I really hope Trump isn't an atheist. This is not the representation I ask for. No, actually, I actually think that we should have some shitty atheists so that atheists don't have this assumption that they have to support, they have to back or want all atheists to be a representation of all atheists. No atheist is a representative of all other atheists. So I'm hoping that some shitty people end up being atheists, so that we don't ever try to use that as a PR move. Go on.
In the YouTube live chat, Renzo says Trump is a Presbyterian and part of the Marble Collegiate Church in Manhattan. So if that's the case, the Presbyterians also recite the Apostles' Creed. So this is something that he's supposed to do in his own church anyways. And the profession of faith is something that you do. It's not voluntary. It's something that everybody does. It's part of the church services. So in Catholicism and Presbyterian, Methodist, and some other churches, the church is very much two ways. There is a spoken word, and then there's a response, and there's a lot of talking in unison, a lot of prayers in unison, and then the Apostles' Creed, which is a profession of faith. Like, I believe in the Father and the Son and blah blah
But
blah.
Jim,
And
do
that
you
he
think
was
Trump
born of a
knows it?
virgin.
Do you think Trump knows any of that?
But what I'm saying is, though, he's Presbyterian. He is a member of this church,
He's
according to Renzo. And the
okay,
Presbyterians, this
yeah.
is part of their dogma, part of their doctrine, that
But he probably
they
doesn't
recite
know
this.
any of that. One, I think the calculation that goes in his head, again, this is pure speculation, is like, oh, more people are talking about me again. Great. Like, so I think for him, if he goes home and he turns on the news and he sees people being upset about him not praying, and more people are talking about him on the news, to him, that was that's a win for him. They're like, yay, people are talking about me on the news. So I think that's the only thing he cares about.
Yeah.
Manuel is saying it's because he can't read. Glenn is saying most atheists I know, myself included, would have taken part, if only to respect the family. No, I wouldn't take part. I would bow down my head in respect and not say the prayer. I think it would be disrespectful to say something you don't, to pretend you believe in something you don't believe in. Glenn continues, if you don't believe in it, then the words are no harm to you. Not doing so is of harm to the family. It's basic civility. No, I don't think so. I don't think that if I think these prayers are bullshit and nonsense, I think nobody should expect me to read them. I think I could show respect by being silent, putting my head down, and standing in respect.
I don't think it's harm to the family, but I think that it's harm to the family's image of Trump, because the family's looking back on this and saying, well, he's a Presbyterian. This is something that he would do normally, and he's not doing it. And at the funeral of an ex-president, like, this is just a normal church service, and so that I'm sure that has some influence on their
yeah, but Glenn is talking about, like, Glenn is bringing in an interesting point. He's talking about what we would do if we were there as atheists, right? Forget Trump. Okay, let's move Trump out of this picture, right? He thinks that the most respectful thing to do is to actually say the prayers in respect. I don't agree with him. I just think you can show respects in different ways than saying things you don't believe in, right?
As an atheist, yeah.
But I wouldn't. But if an atheist thinks that's the most respectful thing to do, I wouldn't tell them and they said the prayer, I wouldn't tell them, oh, you break the atheist code. You're not a true atheist. Fuck you if you're an atheist while you're praying. No, if they think that's the most respectful thing to do, I wouldn't hold that against them. I personally would not say the prayer, but I don't think that if somebody as an atheist did say the prayer because they thought that's the most respectful thing to do, I don't think that's wrong as well. But
no, it's not wrong, because there's nothing in our doctrine, as we don't have a doctrine that tells us that we have to make a profession of faith. But Presbyterians do have that, and they do say that you have to declare your profession of faith. So, and so as an atheist, I wouldn't have a problem with you doing that. Theo Mackey in the live chat says, true. 1 minute he holds a rainbow flag, the next he bends over to bigoted politicians of the Christian right. That's true. When he was campaigning, he was holding the LGBT flag, granted upside down, but in show of support for the community. Muscal says, that's proof of Trump being an atheist. Great news. Muscal says, Armin, this is a big deal to the evangelicals that vote Republican. For them, this is red meat for their culture war nonsense. Yep. Theo Mackey says, I disagree with you guys, but I still like you guys too. Except you, Jim. You know what you did. LOL. Just kidding. You're cool, Jim. Back at you. Theo Mackey. Oh, okay. Jim is the bomb. He makes incels cry because he's such a Chad. Whatever that means. as an atheist, I'd bow my head, but if they would like me to recite a prayer, I'd be happy to oblige. So yeah, and I mean, there's nothing as an atheist that says that you can't do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact, the intention, if your intention is to be nice to people, whatever, I mean, you're probably a really good person.
Yeah.
Paul Wilson in the Facebook live chat is saying Trump appears to identify with evangelicals, and we know how much they hate the Pope and Catholics. They don't even consider Catholics to be Christian. It's not surprising that he would know the Apostles' Creed, let alone recite it. Yeah, he doesn't know anything. I mean, remember when he was talking about like, oh, are you a Christian? He was like, yeah, the cracker and the wine. Is, like he was like, of course he doesn't know, and I don't think he cares to even find out. Okay, so Ken is asking, oh, did someone think he was an actual Christian? I don't think he knows what he is. Okay, so let's go to the next news.
Dutch carpenter who built life-size replica of Noah's Ark wants to sell it to Israel. Jonathan Huibers, a Dutch architect, finished building a full-scale version of Noah's Ark. Inspired by the Ark's description in the book of Genesis, it is 427 feet long, 95 feet wide, and 75 feet high. The project started in 2008, which he worked on with 7 other people, and he wants to sail the Ark to Israel.
Wait, this thing floats?
Yes, it is. It is the world's only seaworthy life-size replica of Noah's Ark, and for the past 5 years, it's been in the Holland River, the Holland's Maas River.
Huh. This is how long did it take him to build it? And with what? With like obviously modern machine. I think this was publicly this was not taxpayer money that went to this, right? This is privately funded.
It was started in 2008 and it was finished in 2009. So it took 4 years of construction. So this guy Johan Huibers, he's a businessman. So he put a lot of his own money into it with the intention of sailing it. But he raised almost $5 million to build this. Not of his own money. He put some of his own money into it, but he raised almost $5 million for that.
Okay, but if it's not publicly funded, then yeah, go for it. I mean, this is kind of cool. I like to go see it. It's mythology, and it's like a floating museum of a mythological belief system. I mean, if it wasn't publicly funded, then put your money on whatever you want, Yeah, go on.
I mean, but he's also using this to spread the word, spread God's word in the Netherlands.
I think it does the opposite, doesn't it? Like, if you go here, wouldn't you be like, okay, I can see now why people think all the animals in the world would not fit in here, right? Like, wouldn't you think, like, if you actually more people went in there, like, they would come out with more questions than answers? Like, this doesn't seem feasible. Like, this is the size of this is exactly what the size that based on according to the Bible, like does the size
I mean it kind of matches up. The Bible measures it in cubits, which isn't an exact measurement. It's the distance from your elbow to your fingertip.
Right.
So I mean it's not exactly a science, but it's pretty close.
Right.
But he actually had to change some things because the ark as described in the Bible is not seaworthy.
You know what would be interesting if he tried to sail it to Israel and there was a storm and it sank. And they would be like,
that would be great. That would be great.
That would be very interesting because they're like, okay, if this thing can't survive a normal storm, how did it survive the biggest storm in history? Let me see. Mitch is saying, how is it a replica if it's the first one actually built? Uh,
Too true.
Jake is saying, please don't take any animals with you. They don't deserve to die for your stupidity. He should sail it to the. Oh, what is that island that I don't know how to pronounce this? That was that island that person died
To
on.
the Sentinelese.
Sentinel. So somebody's saying you should sail it to the Sentinel Island.
That's great.
Thea is saying fill it with evangelicals first. Heather is saying I'd be more impressed if he built his boat using only the primitive hand tools available 6,000 years ago. Yeah, and only the number of people that were allowed to build it as well. And,
Exactly.
And it has to go through a storm with all the animals, and he has to take care of all this shit. Like I don't know, like he has to has enough food in them, and be able to.
And he can only have one window. One window.
Wait, really? The Bible said one window?
Yep, one window.
What?
So
no.
it was dark in there. Yeah, one window.
Wait, that place must have stunk so bad, like with all the shit.
Oh yeah, all the ammonia and everything. Yeah,
How
absolutely.
did they get rid of all the shit?
They didn't. It never happened, Armin.
Okay. No, but how do people think they got rid of all the shit?
Maybe God constipated them for 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay. Peggy is saying, I'm Dutch, but I've never heard of this. Guess it wasn't even important enough to be mentioned by the Dutch media. Wow, really? Then again, the majority of Dutch is atheist anyway. Decided to look it up. Left the Netherlands in 2016, and after that, radio silence. Interesting. So the Dutch don't know about this. That's why he wants to take it to Israel, because there's not enough demand for it in Dutch. But from the Dutch.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but 2 years ago, this when they had it in the Oslo harbor, it actually smashed into one of the Norwegian Coast Guard boats that was tied up at the harbor.
Right. Okay, look up the YouTube live chat. I'll see if there's anything. Grant is saying sell it. It's useless. And he also saying 40 days and 40 nights doesn't cut it. Birds, that is all. I don't know what to mean by birds. But okay, so what do you mean? What's the joke?
Theo Mackey says, hopefully if he sells it to Israel, it doesn't wash up on the Gaza Strip.
Oh shit. Okay, anything else? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Old Scratch says, are there any steel beams to hold this thing together? If not, it'll sink. Yeah, Old Scratch, this thing is not built to standards, like to biblical standards. So it's very much modern built. It's not built with gopher wood. It's not waterproofed with pitch and tar. It's yeah.
Wait, so it has the modern standard, or it doesn't have the
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has modern standards. Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
it has all this. So if this thing survives, it's not fair because it has steel in it. Noah didn't have steel. It has all the stuff that makes it waterproof. Noah didn't have that, right? So it's not fair. This is not a fair comparison.
Right. Oh yeah. Of course not. It's just but a replica doesn't have to be an exact replica, so to speak.
But I mean, the people building this, going through the process, they should lose their faith. They should be like, okay, if I have to do all this for this thing to be functional, there's no way Noah's Ark was functional.
But Noah lived to be really old. He was like 600 years. So I mean, he was when he built the ark. So I mean, it's not, we don't live as long as we used to. So he had a lot more time on his hands.
Right. Okay. Anyway, should we go to the next news?
Sure.
Okay.
A substitute teacher told her first graders that Santa isn't real.
Oh shit.
Michael Raj.
How old are these kids?
These kids are young. We're talking about 6 and 7 year olds.
Okay. Oh no. All right, go on.
Michael Raj, the Cedar Hill School principal in Montville, sent a letter to parents and apologized to them regarding the issue of a substitute teacher who told the class that Santa is not real. He said that he is aware of the situation and spoke to the substitute teacher about her poor judgment. A parent named Lisa Samek said that the teacher told students Santa isn't real and parents just buy presents and put them under their tree. She added that the teacher tried to ruin the spirit of other holidays. And by that, I mean she went ahead and washed it all out. She said that the Easter Bunny is not real, the Tooth Fairy is not real, and just went on and on.
So, I mean, isn't her job description to teach the children about what's true and what's not true? Isn't that part of her? Like, technically, she didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I mean, as a substitute teacher, I think that your job is to follow the curriculum. Like, she's not even the actual teacher, and she like doesn't have the credentials to be an actual teacher. But we're talking about six-year-olds here, and I mean,
Right.
while some people may choose not to perpetuate the myth of Santa, I mean, there are some who do, and it's not anybody else's uh, uh, job or duty to reveal the truth to them, especially in this situation, in my opinion.
Wait. Okay. So, would you think she did something wrong?
Yeah, I do.
What if she told the students that, hey, uh, evolution is true, and anything else is not true, and like creationism is not true, and then the parents got offended, like, oh, you're ruining the spirit of Christianity to our children. What's the difference between her saying that to the kids and saying Santa is not real? Like, would you be offended? Would you think she did something wrong if she told the kids that evolution is real? If true?
No, not at all. I would have no problem with her taking a positive stance, saying that evolution is true. I have no problem with that. As a matter of fact, I believe that evolution should be taught as science. But at the same time, I don't believe that she should take a negative stance, a negative position, and say that evolution is real, therefore creationism is not real. I don't believe that you need to go that far. I believe that your job is to educate and not unlearn.
But isn't it also science that a man can't, go in one night and bring gifts to go through a chimney and bring gifts to children all over the world over one night and flying with flying reindeers? Isn't that also science?
Yeah, sure, but I mean it's not a scientific topic. I mean, as far as I know, I mean I didn't take metaphysics
But why does it have to
in
be
school.
why does it have to be just positive? So if your teacher says, like, where you say something scientific but says something can't happen scientifically, would you be an issue with that? Like, for example, if one of the students said, "Oh, the sun will live forever," and the teacher said, "No, the sun is not going to live forever. It's not going to be the same way forever." Are you going to say to the teacher, "Oh, why are you saying something negative instead of saying it in a positive way? Like, why do you have to say something is not true?" Like, isn't every time you're making a positive claim, you're also technically making a negative claim again about, um, I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel
No,
about this.
no. I think by making a positive claim of evolution, you are giving the kids the tools to think logically and to use the context clues that they've been given to come to that conclusion themselves. But I don't believe that it's either our job nor is it productive to tell somebody that because A is right, B is wrong. I just believe that we just teach A is right, they will come to B is wrong on their own.
I don't know. So, if somebody asks, I don't know. Like, if a student asks you, "Is this possible?" and the answer to that question is no, it's not possible, you wouldn't tell that student that this is not possible. Like, I mean, that's a weird standard, I think.
I mean, if they're asking, then I would definitely expose the science. But to make something declarative like that, I
I mean,
believe that it's better to. I believe it's better in that position to take an agnostic approach to things. To say that
actually, I made my
we
mind. I'm supporting this teacher. I know I'm gonna get shit for this. I'm gonna support.
really
Yeah, like,
why?
because your job is to teach children that what's bullshit and what's not, and she
But
told them.
you also have to remember this is a publicly funded school. What if she had breached that line of separation of church and state?
Hmm? What do you mean?
What if she had?
Santa is
I'm
not a church.
I'm aware. I'm saying, what if she had? What if instead of these being these mythological holiday creatures, that these
Mm.
were mythological religious creatures, and one of the students there who were in adherence to that religion and took offense?
Wait, separation of church and state means that you can't say Jesus is not God in the United States, because that's
It No, no, no. It means that outside of a theology class, that you don't bring religion into the classroom, especially whenever it's federally funded. Um,
hmm.
unless you're Texas, and then you put Moses in a textbook.
Okay, I don't know about that, but the Santa is not a religion, so I'm gonna focus on Santa, and
Okay.
the teacher's job is to, um, you know,
Y-
teach the make children realize what's bullshit and what's not, and I don't know.
What's the difference between a Santa Claus belief and a religion?
I agree with you.
Because
They're both bullshit.
it still revolves around a central figure who possibly existed at one time
Yeah.
that is attributed with supernatural
So if you want to go there, I
abilities.
agree. None of them should be protected. So I would be in favor of if the country allowed the science teacher to say that the existence of Jesus as a god and somebody that could that could heal the sick or rise from the dead is scientifically impossible. I would be in favor of science teachers being able to say that in a science class. So
At the same time, though, we also have to remember that this is a classroom setting. We have to remember that the curriculum has to reflect the cognitive abilities of these children. So if the children aren't able to conceive these abstract ideas and concepts that you're trying to teach them, I mean, then it's not productive. As a matter of fact, it's counterproductive.
yeah, my position on this is not very firm because I haven't thought about it that much. But right now, I'm gonna support the teacher for now until people convince me otherwise. Let me see what people think. The top comment is good. Don't lie to your kids. Paul is saying good. Now on to God,
Yeah,
who isn't
don't
real
lie to
either.
your kids. Don't lie to your kids. But that doesn't mean you get to tell everybody else's kid that that's a lie.
So lie to other people's kids.
Whatever, I lie to other people's kids all the time. I'm like, your mother loves you.
Okay. Oh wow. Dark, dark, dark. John is saying they hired a teacher. They got one. My hat's off to you. Great job. Keep up the good work. Oh wow. So people. Okay. Thomas is saying Jesus. That's harsh. Everyone laughing at this probably don't have kids. Why not let them live their imaginations until the age of reason? Santa isn't a harmful lie, just something fun. Yeah, but the thing is that as a parent, I would not tell my kids that Santa is real. I would teach them how it's possible to enjoy imagining things while knowing it's not real. Like teach them that
But
you can play pretend, and it's
okay,
fine that
okay,
it's
so
yeah.
so if your 6-year-old had an imaginary friend, and say he came into you and he said, hey, will you play with me and my imaginary friend? Would you just immediately crush his imagination and say imaginary friends aren't real, your imaginary friend isn't real, and
No,
just
I wouldn't
and
crush it. I would tell them that your friend is not real, but it's okay to have friends that are not real. You could still enjoy imaginary things. That's what we do when we read fiction, right? I would tell them that your friend is not is a very special friend because it's only real for you. No one else has access to it. It's only in your head. Okay,
oh,
so it's so
okay,
special
and
that it's
yeah.
only your friend and nobody else's, right?
And
It's a
I completely agree with that. And I think that's a great way to approach it. But let me ask you this now. Would you approach somebody else's children, or better yet, a classroom full of somebody else's children,
mm,
the same way?
um. Well, I mean, if you made me if you hired me as a teacher, you already gave me access to educate your children the way I see fit. So
Uh,
yeah, I mean,
but you're also giving
I wouldn't
curriculum.
walk to other people's children and tell them, "Hey, Santa is your parents are lying to you. Santa is fake. God is fake," right? But if you hired me as a teacher, it's now you gave me permission to tell them what's true and what's not. I guess. I think I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what the standards are for teacher. I've never been a teacher. Actually,
Yeah.
I've been a math teacher before, but
Well,
other than
I
that, I don't know what the moral code and the standards are. So I'm pretty sure there's some things that you have to abide by. So I don't know.
I I've done some substituting, but the longest I've ever done it was 3 days in a row, like in a row for one class. And I can say that for those 3 days, I had a curriculum that I had to follow. I had a guideline, the textbook, things that we had to follow, and I didn't feel any need to divert from that curriculum because there was, it was set up well. So I'm thinking with these 6 year olds that I don't believe that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny and elves and Santa were part of this. And she also crushed crushed some of their dreams about. Have you heard of the popular Elf on the Shelf kind of Christmas gag?
No.
So there's this little stuffed elf that parents put on the shelves, and they move it around every morning, and it's kind of like magical that the elf moves around different places, but it's supposed to keep an eye on the kid and report back to Santa every night. So it'll fly back to the North Pole magically, and they can't touch it or it loses its magic. I did it with my kids for a few years, and she told them that wasn't real as well, and it's a very popular thing in North America, and
Mm.
I don't know. I don't feel like it was her place. It's is all.
I would like to teach my kids that stories don't have to be real for you to be able to enjoy them. And in fact, I use that as a way to show them how powerful imagination could be,
Mhm.
and use that as a way to encourage them to come up with their own stories, come up with their own imaginary worlds, and imagination is for children is very important, and this could be an excuse for them to show that, look, this is reality, this is imagination. Imagination could be fun. Playing pretend could be fun. Elizabeth is saying, "Oh, come on! Just like it's not a teacher's job to bring her religious biases into the classroom. The same goes for family's tradition. That was wrong of her. Let's let kids believe in magic." Well, Elizabeth, do you think that it's okay for a teacher to bring their truth bias into the classroom? That would be my response. There's another good comment here, but it's way too long. Anything in the YouTube live chat? I'll look at the Facebook live chat. Guys, make sure if you want me to read something to tag Atheist Republic, but Jim, have a look.
Jack McCallan says, "Good comparison. You can know Ghost and the supernatural are bullshit, but still really love horror movies about that. You don't need to believe in Santa to enjoy the Christmas story." Moose Gal says, "Don't forget the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny too, right?" Moose Gal says, "This teacher is removed from the New Jersey school district." Yeah, she was removed from her position. Let's see. Soraya says, that's hard to happen, Jim. I would say it should be mandatory for teachers to tell that what we are celebrating is mythological. I really have to disagree. I'm sorry. Jack says, "I've always been conflicted here. I have problems with Santa because it's really not much different from religion, which is the kind of point I was trying to make. It needs indoctrination and brainwashing of a young child." Moose Gal says, "Jim, do you think parents should tell kids that Santa is real until a certain age?" No, I don't at all. My kids did not get the Santa belief from me. They got it from other kids at school, and they they asked if Santa was real or what Santa was, and I was honest with them. When my kids ask me a question, I am honest with them, but I will not approach them until I feel like they are ready. And I feel like that whenever a kid is ready to know the truth and ready to or wants to distinguish truth from imagination, then that is your duty to do so. Or when you see it interfering with their
Okay,
with their life.
I changed my mind again. I wouldn't tell the kids that Santa is not real. I would just ask them questions. right?
Yeah, discovery
Encourage them,
questions.
encourage them to be skeptical. I would like, so how do you think it's possible for like a man to go all around? Like, how does like what? Okay, that like even my own kids, I wouldn't tell them like Santa is not real. Like if they come ask Santa is real, I would be like, okay, let's think about this together, right?
Yeah.
So says he has like how many hours? How long do you think it takes for him to go to each house? How do you think reindeers could fly? They don't have wings. What do you think? Like keep asking them what they think, right?
Right.
um how does he get down the chimney? Like, so I would just come up with how does he fit all the gifts for all the kids in the world, and in there. I would just basically ask them questions and see what answers they come up with. So maybe
But
that's, yeah.
but again, you're not talking about a 9 or a 10-year-old. You're talking about a 6-year-old. At this point, they're going to answer everything with magic. Like, I
It's
mean,
fine as long
it's literally
as
like talking to a young Earth creationist, because you're not going to get through to them and take an epistemological
no, no, it's fine.
approach to
Even if
it.
they come up with shitty, stupid responses because they're stupid, they're kids. Um, as long as they're just thinking, as long as they're going through the process of thinking about it, is I think it's a good exercise. Even if it's the result is something dumb, I think they're exercising their brains to come up with some answer.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I wasn't expecting them to come up with the conclusion like, oh yes, that's a very interesting question. As a 6-year-old, I think like Santa cannot scientifically be as possible. No, I didn't expect that. Like
Yeah.
I just think it's good exercise. Anyways, go on.
Sub-Zero says, "Isn't the whole goal of Atheist Republic to propagate the truth? Why is Jim against this?" I'm not. I mean, we are reporting the truth. We're reporting the truth on what's happening here and what the situation is. And by American law, there is a separation of church and state. And not only that, but according to the Texas Board of Education, there's a certain curriculum. And we're not talking about a regular tenured teacher here. We're talking about a substitute teacher who did this for one day, and for some reason in that one day felt the need to diverge from the curriculum and tell this entire classroom full of kids that whatever traditions they held within their family are false, and didn't give them any premise as to why. Just told them that they're false and sent kids home crying.
We got a super
I
chat.
think it was. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you go on. You finish what you're saying.
No, that's it.
No, you go ahead. Check it out. Do you want to read our super chat from Billy B again?
Billy B says Christian Santa, Jewish Hanukkah, Harry Islam.
But thank you, Billy. That's very generous. Billy,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very. Thank you so much, Billy. I really appreciate that. All right, but by the way, the goal of Atheist Republic is mostly to provide a community for atheists. I mean, we do reflect the voice of our community, and sometimes we say contradictory things because our community believes in things that other members of the community do not agree with. So yeah, we have contradictory positions because our community has people of many different opinions. But we try to. I think a lot of the things that we might say might not be true, but we hope that with a lot of exchange between the members of the community, more often than not, we adjust each other's biases, and we think more conversation leads us closer to the truth. Not always, but more often.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just wanted to add that there. Anything? Let me just see. Grant is saying thank you for not indoctrinating your children. Well, I don't have children yet, but Grant is agreeing that I think Grant is agreeing that we should have. But yeah, if I have children, he's saying you're correct. That we should maybe the question format would be better. Anyways, should we go to the next news?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Oklahoma legislator files bill to put women in jail for life if they have an abortion. The Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act is a bill that Oklahoma Republican State Senator Joseph Silk plans to introduce this February when the legislature is in session. It would give a fertilized egg all the same quote unquote rights, powers, privileges, justice, and protections
Get the
as adult
fuck out of
humans.
here. What the hell? All right.
Under under this new bill, women who have abortions commit murder and could spend their lives in prison.
Jeez. This guy, how does this guy has his job? What is he exactly again?
He's a senator.
For where?
He's for Oklahoma.
What the hell? This guy,
Yeah,
shouldn't this guy like be like sued or something, like separation of church and state and all that? Like, shouldn't he be kicked out of his job? Like, how does this work?
absolutely, absolutely. He absolutely should be. And he tried passing a bill kind of like this 2 years ago, but in that bill, the doctors who performed the procedure would have been charged with first-degree murder. But luckily, that one failed. That one failed 2 years ago. But this is just somebody who is out wanting to punish people who go against his religion, is what it is. He's trying to seek out biblical justice in his own way.
Okay, this guy sounds very stupid, but I think he might not be that stupid. I think he knows how ridiculous. Like, something like this is never gonna get passed, right? But I think he just wants. This is like a cry to like, hey, Christians, vote for me. I'm standing on the right side, kind of thing, right? Like sometimes a lot of these things that seem very stupid, and people think like these people have lost their mind, and actually there's a little bit more calculation behind it than what we think. Is this one of those cases, do you think?
You know, I I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, he is a Republican, and this is Oklahoma. So I mean, we are in the Bible Belt. I mean, you're talking about somebody who would be appealing to the evangelical demographic. So I mean, I I don't know. I couldn't say.
So murder. So this guy thinks like the a fertilized egg, is that as far as he goes?
I'm sorry. The what?
Like how far does he want to go back when it comes to giving all the rights a human enjoy?
He's talking about from conception, from the
From
time it's an
conception.
egg. Like yeah,
Right.
from a conception. Yeah.
Wow.
Which he uses the term egg, which if you knew anything about conception, whenever
No,
it's
yes.
conceived, it's no longer an egg; it's a
It's not,
zygote.
yeah, it's not
So
an egg anymore.
it's yeah.
So
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 this guy doesn't even understand basic reproductive science, and he feels the need to give his opinion on that.
so this is what religion does. These people think that something that doesn't even have a fucking brain deserve the same rights as we do, right?
No, well, not the same more, because once these children are born, they stop caring about them. The
Uh
rights that they want to apply to them no longer exist. If they did, we would have a better education and better healthcare in the United States.
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's a meme or a joke, or if that's actually true. Because there's many different Republicans, many different Christians. I'm pretty sure you could find a lot of them that care for the poor and care about people after birth as well, right? I understand that meme, but just by its
I
own.
don't.
Huh?
No, I don't think it's a meme. I mean that seriously, with all seriousness, and I completely stand by that.
Okay, but
Because with every opportunity, they shoot down every bill that proposes any kind of progression in the field of healthcare or education. They constantly uh, defund these places and apply the money elsewhere.
right.
But at the same time, they will use that same money that they take from the healthcare and education system
But
and apply it towards the bills like this that want to put women in prison for life for an abortion.
yeah, but those things that they do, like the thinking behind that might not is probably not like, hey, we don't care about humans after they're born. It's probably like some state keeping the government out of private business kind of way of thinking. Whether you agree with it or not, it's not hey, who gives a fuck about people that were born kind of attitude. You know what I mean? But go on. Sorry, you want to defend that?
I was just gonna say that. I mean, if you're saying that they're claiming that you're claiming that the government shouldn't put their hands into things like that. I mean, at the same time, the government shouldn't be putting their hands into people's private bodies
Right.
and
No,
into
I'm
their
not
bodily
defend.
autonomy. Oh no, 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 no.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you are. Yeah, I'm not saying you are. Not at
No,
all.
but I'm just saying that it's not comparable because it's not like their reasoning behind it is like we don't care about humans after they're born. But anyways, let's go to
Well,
caring. Go on.
I was just going to say he's also, taken measures to loosen gun laws, gun laws, bills that he's proposed to strip down some of the safety measures that the very few safety measures that Oklahoma has implemented on firearms. But I mean, what's the purpose for doing that? Is he doing that because he cares about firearm owners, or is he? I
Votes.
mean,
He cares about votes. That's what he cares about. But
about his base, yeah.
yeah. So but okay. So let's go to the this whole abortion thing because I've a lot of people that defend banning abortion and stuff are like, hey, what's the definition of a human? Uh, if human lives matter, it should always matter, not only when they're born and blah blah blah. And this is the problem I have with like having your morality based on principles rather than consequences. And in this specific case, when it comes to morality, for reducing harm, because if you get into semantics and definition, it's like, oh, technically biologically this is a human now, so because it's a human, it should have all the rights of a human. No, if you think about things that way, then your your morality, your moral code is useless, because if moral codes should be based on, if you want to reduce misery in this world, increase happiness, and reduce harm, your moral code should be based on avoiding harm and increasing happiness, right? And the only way to do that is to make whatever causes more harm immoral and whatever causes more happiness moral. And if you look at a fetus, or for this guy, as a zygote, a fertilized egg,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even have a fucking brain. It can't feel shit. It doesn't. It's not self. It's way beyond, before even being self-aware. Like, it's not. It's a few cells. I mean, come on, people. Like, I don't understand. Oh, I actually do understand. Like, they say it has a soul, right? And that's the problem. So something without a brain, if it could have a soul, then this brings your priorities away from people. I mean, if you actually believe that each one of these fertilized eggs does have a soul, then Christians should all be out there. This is worse than the Holocaust. This is like all these abortions to now would be Holocaust on steroids. And this is, again, goes back to our ideas on how harmful wrong beliefs could have. Like, if you actually genuinely believe that, every Christian that actually believes that and is sitting at home and not doing anything about it is a monster, because basically there's holocausts happening all around them and they're not doing anything about it. So the problem, if you actually are true to your belief, you actually have to go and fight abortion all the time until you stop it. The problem is that the foundation, the belief is wrong. And when people say, oh, we shouldn't care for, if people take their religion out of if they don't force their religion on me, they could believe what they want. Well, if they are true to their religion, what these people are doing makes sense. If you accept the premise, the right action would be to do everything you possibly can to stop it. So we shouldn't just tackle the conclusion or tackle the behavior that these people have. The main root of this problem is the premise, is the belief system. That the most effective way is to go right at the root, right at Christianity, right at faith, right at religion, the God belief itself. Because when you have a belief system founded in nonsense, of course you're going to get shit like this. Anyways, Jim, go on.
No. I mean, you're on a roll. I mean, you're absolutely right. But I mean, it really upsets me, this whole abortion issue, because still, every single time I look at my driver's license, I look on the back and I see that I'm a donor. I see that I'm an organ donor on the back of my driver's license, and that it makes me sad, because I realize that as a dead person, I will have more rights than a pregnant woman does with her body in some places, because they can't take my organs when I'm dead without my permission, right? Like they're in my body, they're mine. It's mine to do with what I want, and I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? And we have a woman here who we can argue the morality of forcing a woman to carry out a pregnancy that she doesn't want. I mean that's unethical in my opinion, in its own. Um, but it all goes back to bodily autonomy. You have the right to your own body, what goes in, what comes out, what stays in, what stays out. And if something is dependent on you for life, and especially something that doesn't experience what we would consider a personality or personhood or consciousness, then there's no reason outside of a religious presupposition that justifies this laws like this.
Martha is saying, let's get a bill into this how do you say that?
Legislature
that requires men to deposit their sperm into banks, then get vasectomies. When they want to have children with a partner, they just withdraw their sperm. No more unwanted pregnancies, no more abortions. I think I'm hoping Martha is making a joke. Chris is saying, yeah. What?
I just want to know what a sperm ATM looks like.
Chris, I don't know. Chris, I don't know what that comment. I don't know why that got so many likes. I don't know what it means. Chris is saying he should have been aborted. Okay. Keith is saying religion poisons everything. Period. Well, that's an absolutist statement. Rob is saying, or here's a lovely idea. If you don't like abortions, just don't get one. I mean, it's a crazy idea, I know. Well, I mean, Rob, I don't think that's the right response to it, because I think, again, you have to go at the foundation of their belief system, because if their premises is true, they have a point. Okay.
But you don't have to go off the foundation of their belief system. But
no,
if
you
they're
have
trying
to. But you have to fight the foundation.
Push that belief system on you.
Right, but you have to. But what I'm saying is that you have to. I mean, if I was a Christian and somebody says like, "Hey, so I think like abortion is murder," right? And if I think as a Christian, right, if I was a Christian that believed that, and I think this is the human soul in there, and this is murder, and somebody says like, "Hey, if you don't believe in abortion, don't get abortion," I would be like, "No, fuck you! I'm protecting another human being. I get to tell you not to kill a human being, right?" So to me, as a Christian, that would sound like, "Hey, I'm just gonna murder people. If you don't believe in murder, don't murder. Leave me alone with me murdering people," right? So as a Christian that believes in that, I would be like, if somebody says to me that if you don't believe in abortion, just don't get an abortion, I wouldn't see that as a response that would do anything. It's just a joke, right? So again, the problem is the foundation, the belief system, not, yeah. Anyways, okay. Mike is saying, are they going to imprison the biological fathers as well? I think a lot of people no, because they didn't do the abortion.
Right.
Again, I think you have to fight you have to try to put yourself, I know it's hard because it's nonsense, but you have to try to see what they're coming from, even if it is nonsense, if you want to tackle it properly.
Right.
Anne is saying, why do Ohio and Oklahoma hate women? Well, because Christianity is anti-woman. Anything in the YouTube live chat?
Muscal says the Holy Bible promotes abortion by using bitter water. Yep, and also dashing babies against the rocks. Muscal says Republicans mixing religion and science are endangering women's health. Yes, absolutely, 100%. And not only that, but also climate change deniers and flat earthers and all these other ridiculous people are endangering just society in general. Muscal says, what would this politician say if a woman had a miscarriage? That's a really good point, because a lot of pregnancies end in miscarriage, and most of them, you know, well, in the first trimester, within the first 12 weeks. So I mean, that's a really good point.
Wait,
I mean
they would say it's not a crime because nobody intended for the baby to die. Like it wasn't a murder, no murder happened. That's what they would say.
But would they blame God for that, I wonder?
No, they say God could do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, he flooded the whole planet and killed everybody. So what he can kill people. He said they would say, as a Christian would say, God can kill people. We can't. Because he gave us life and he can take it away. But humans
If
can't take life. That's what.
it
See,
if
I know they're bullshit.
for for any believer watching, I have a question. If life is so sacred and conception and sex and the whole reproductive system is so divinely inspired, then why do men waste millions of sperm at a time and women have such a huge stockpile of eggs that don't get used?
I
What is the purpose of that?
I will put my Christian hat on. It's not. They would say that there's no soul in sperms and eggs. There's only souls in fertilized like eggs or in zygotes. Zygote or zygote? In
Zygote.
Zygote.
Yeah.
In Persian, we study it as zygote.
Zygote?
Zygote, yeah, zygote. Sorry, zygote. So that's the only thing that has a soul. So you don't have to worry about sperms and eggs. See, I'm an expert in the bullshit of Christianity.
Well, which half of the combo is the soul in? Is it in the egg or in the sperm, or is it half and half?
No, that's getting too technical. So
Yeah, I
no,
mean,
no. This thing is when it comes supernatural, you can't apply the laws of nature to supernatural. See,
that's right. God is sovereign.
God is independent of logic.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let me see. Facebook people, if you don't tag Atheist Republic, I don't know which comments to read. So far, Grant is the only one that is tagging Atheist Republic. So let's go to the next news. Hello.
Next news. In an interview published on Saturday, Pope Francis said the issue of homosexuality is very serious and that there is no problem or no room for fashionable homosexuality.
Wait, try that again.
And
Try it again.
sorry, sorry.
That's okay.
Gay people should not join Catholic clergy, Pope Francis says. In an interview published on Saturday, Pope Francis said the issue of homosexuality is very serious and that there is no room for fashionable homosexuality and gay priests should leave. The church recommends that people with that kind of ingrained tendency should not be accepted into the ministry.
This is the Pope everybody was hoping to be progressive. This is the atheist favorite Pope that ended up being the same shit as usual, right? So I mean, I kind of predicted this would happen. Like people, I don't know what people expected.
But I don't know why he would say something like this, because I remember him talking to a little boy whose father had died that was an atheist, and the little boy was worried that his father wouldn't make it into heaven, and the Pope told him that it didn't matter if his father was a believer, it mattered if he was a good person, and that he would see his father in heaven.
No, that's
So
not
that
okay. I don't remember exactly what he said, but you have to. That's not technically what he said. Can you bring up this
I
Pope?
mean,
The things that he said has never been against Catholic doctrine. He either didn't specifically answer something or he focused on a part of. So, for example, like when he said atheists could, what did he say about atheists?
I was just referring to
No, but everything he
the little
said,
boy.
everything he said so far is. I mean, he's the fucking Pope. Of course, he's not gonna say things that are against Catholic doctrine. He didn't say to the kid that his father is going to be in heaven. Go read exactly what he said, right?
Okay, I have it right here.
Okay, go.
The little boy had a question for the Pope, and he said, "A little while ago, my father passed away. He was a non-believer, but he had all 4 of his children baptized." And the Pope told the boy, he said he was.
I remember.
And the Pope,
I remember now. Okay.
And the Pope said he was a good man. Is dad in heaven? He said that man did not have the gift of faith. He wasn't a believer, but he had his children baptized. He had a good heart. And Pope Francis asked the children in the crowd if they thought God would abandon a father like the little boys who was a good man. And the children said no. And the Pope said, "There, Emmanuel, that is the answer."
No, this is a sneaky fucking pope, okay? Because he made sure he never himself says that your father is in heaven, okay? So he's very careful. He didn't like okay, so he didn't want to hurt the little kid's feelings, right? He's not gonna go say like, yeah, your dad is fucking burning in hell right now, right? So he just instead of saying your father is in heaven, he just asked the question like, do you think such a person would be in hell? And he asked everybody else. Everybody else said no, and like, okay, that's the answer that they're giving. He never himself answered it. He's very sneaky about these things, right? So he knows that as it's not Catholic doctrine to say that an atheist could go to heaven because it's not. An atheist is going to go to hell. Another sneaky thing, like another thing that a lot of atheists were happy about, is that he said that atheists could get something but not salvation. What's the other thing that is not salvation?
You mean forgiveness or
No, something that a lot of atheists thought like, oh, even atheists could get salvation, but he never actually said salvation. He said something else. Where's Theomaki when you? Oh, Theomaki has left, but Theomaki is our expert Catholic in the live chat. We need him here right now. But he has not said anything that goes against. Like a lot of people were happy that he said something about evolution. We're like, oh my god, so progressive. Are you serious? The Catholic Church has never been against evolution. I mean, not never, but like in recent years. Yeah.
So he went on to say after that, he said, be sure he is in heaven with him. God has the heart of a father. Your father was a good man. He is in heaven with him. Be sure God has a father's heart. And would God ever abandon a non-believing father who baptizes his children?
No,
God
right.
was certainly proud of your father, because it is easier to be a believer and have your children baptized than to be a non-believer and have your children baptized.
I watched that entire video. He never, maybe I'm wrong. He never specifically said that your father is in heaven.
That's what I'm reading right here, verbatim.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'll double check. Okay, you're correct.
But he's completely contradictory to the doctrine.
But he would not say something. Let me see.
Of course he would.
Something like the Pope saying something that is anti-Catholic. Let me see what he exactly said. Pope, father, atheist. Wait, well, for right to our child is atheist, that may be in heaven. Atheist dad in heaven. That's so anti-Catholic. That's bullshit. Where's the script? But God is the one who says who goes to heaven, not the Pope, not you or me. Well, he said in the Bible that the only way through heaven is through Jesus. Can you imagine God checking to see what kind of? Maybe I'm wrong.
He changed the whole church's ruling on the death sentence, the death penalty.
Well, yeah, but that was not hardcore in the. Was his dad in heaven? Where is
it was. I mean, it wasn't always, but it's been Catholic doctrine for a while.
Okay, so maybe you corrected me on something that I was wrong about.
I mean, I think this Pope is very controversial. He's said things about homosexuality, things about atheism, things about forgiveness and what it takes to get into heaven, and the standards of God's love. And
Can you read really, the part? Can you read again the part that he says, like the full before and after part that he says that your father could be with, like read the full thing, like a little bit before it as well.
Sure. Let me see if I can find it.
Because I can't find the script for some reason. And I want to see what he said about. Go on.
He did say, this is something else that he said. He was in Rome leading a homily in church, and he said, so many Christians are like this, and these people scandalize others. To be a Catholic like that, it's better to be an atheist. It is that. Yeah, it is better to be an atheist than a bad Catholic, which is completely contradictory to God's word, because the only unforgivable sin, according to the Bible, is not being a believer. Is being a non-believer. You can literally ask for forgiveness for anything else except for not believing.
You know, I like the fact that he mentions atheists a lot, though, because that brings a lot of attention to atheism.
Well,
Like,
yeah. I mean, he's trying to drive up appeal to Catholicism. I mean,
so what was his reasoning for why the what's it why gay clergy cannot, they shouldn't have gay clergy? Like, what is it exactly that he said, and what was his reasoning? Do you
well, it
know?
was his reasoning was because was a biblical reasoning, saying that um, basically that it was an abomination and that it wasn't it's not it's against the Bible. It's against Catholicism.
Okay, but didn't he also say we shouldn't judge gay people and all that stuff?
Yeah, he has said that, but at the same, that's kind of like the person who says, "I'm not racist. I have a black friend."
Right.
It's
All right.
yeah.
Um, I think, yeah. Never mind. I was gonna say something. Let's
Well,
see. Yeah. Go on.
he says that it's a serious issue because he thinks that the mentality is going to influence the church. So basically, he thinks that it's going to increase the rate of homosexuality within the church. So they're barring gay men, the people who support the gay culture from these places, not just the homosexuals, but the people who support them. But I mean, they've been doing this for a while. They've been banning people for homosexuality for years. But this is it's kind of unusual for Pope Francis to be coming out and saying something like this.
Mike is saying, by saying that atheists can go to heaven, he was not against the Catholic teaching because there is only one thing that excludes you from heaven: is blaspheming against the Holy Spirit. I don't know, Mike. No, that's not the case. That's the only unforgivable sin. Because if you're an
Yeah.
if you're an atheist, if you die as an atheist, you can't go to heaven. But if you're an atheist, that is not unforgivable, because you can be an atheist that becomes a Christian, and your atheism then will become forgiven, right? So yeah, the only unforgivable thing is blaspheming the Holy Spirit, but atheism is forgivable. But if you die as an atheist, you go to hell. If you're an atheist and you become a Christian, then your atheism is forgiven and you go to heaven. Um,
Correct.
the
Nobody gets to the Father but through me. I am
from
the way, the truth, and the life.
Right, and he also, like, at the in Book of Revelation, didn't he put people in two sides? On his right, the people that believed in him, and the left, the people that didn't believe in him. Like, that was the dividing factor, right? It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and in Revelations, the people who didn't believe, they would seek death but would not find it. They would cut off their heads and would not die.
yeah, eternal torture.
Yeah.
Jack is saying, I've lost friends over them calling this piece of shit progressive, and I'm glad. If they support him, they don't support me, so I'm glad to be rid of them. No, Jack, I think you should try to get along with people that you have strong disagreements with. Don't give up on people that you disagree with. Just because people are wrong, that doesn't mean that they are bad people. Good people can be wrong all the time. Mike is, well, that's my opinion. I could be wrong about that. Mike is saying, no, they say that only God is to judge. Yeah, they say that only God is to judge, but there's a book that
But
tells you his judgment, right? So people say, like, oh, do atheists go to hell? And they say, like, some Christians say, like, well, I don't know, God can judge. Yeah, and we have access to his judgment. It's right there in the Bible. But go on, Jim. Sorry.
no, I mean, yeah, that's I mean, I mean, but by your logic, you're saying that quote unquote good atheists can go to heaven, and that's absurd. That's ridiculous because the only way that you can get to heaven is by accepting Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, believing that He is the one and only begotten Son of God, the one God, and then committing your life to Him and spreading the word. I mean, that's the only way that you can get to heaven. You can't get to heaven by being a good person and coincidentally following the commandments. If you're saying that, you would have to also claim that people from other religions that happen to adhere to the same commandments would also go to heaven, even though they believe in a different God. And that's ridiculous.
Grant in the Facebook live chat is saying, it's okay. This ridiculous faith will soon be pulled from the record books. Okay. Hopefully you're right. Jack is saying this prick compared transgender rights to the nuclear arms race. I can't be friends with people who support that transgender rights equals nuclear arms race. It doesn't it doesn't follow like that. Okay, like you have so many degrees of separation behind this guy's views and people that support him. There's so much misinformation. Because if you Jack, if you want to go through life, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have everybody you know supports somebody that has a view that is very disgusting, even if they don't hold their views themselves. Right? If that's your standard, then you're going to be without friends. I'm pretty sure you have other friends that support somebody else that has other crazy views. Right? The best way is to the if you want to fight bad ideas, you have to reach out to people that have those bad ideas. And the way to reach out to people that have those bad ideas is to befriend people with the bad ideas instead of abandoning them with the bad ideas. But again, that's my view. I might be wrong. Mike is saying you think about their denominations. I don't know what you're referring to, Mike. What we're saying, what we're saying is that is in the Bible, so it should apply to all Christians. Moose is saying, I kind of like this Pope. He recently said to Romans in a holiday speech to make the city more livable. Pope Francis is kind of decent, but not always. I mean, everybody has some decent views. It doesn't excuse all the bullshit. I mean, if what Jack is saying is true, he compared transgender race to nuclear arms race. I mean, I don't know the details of that, but that seems pretty absurd. I don't know what that is, but it says, I mean, yeah, this guy, I don't know. I don't support him at all, even if he said a few good things. Harry is saying no one should join the Catholic clergy. Yeah, so yeah, right. Actually, that's the best response right there, because this is in response to Pope saying that the gay people should not join the Catholic clergy. Harry is saying no one should join the Catholic clergy. Good response, Harry. Dare? I don't know how to. Why would any intelligent, right-thinking person in 2018 want to join a deluded cult based on ancient mythology? Yep, good question. We haven't figured that one out yet. Somebody else with a very cool name that I can't pronounce is saying clergy needs to stop touching children. Well, yeah, can't argue with that. That's a very good comment here, but it's a bit too long, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Courtney is saying, why the fuck is the church so worried about someone's sexuality if they took a vow of celibacy? Oh yeah, are they talking about gay clergy that hasn't even committed any gay sexual behavior?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, because they declare themselves to be gay, and they're also
that's
throwing people
so
out,
hypocritical.
and yeah, and they're also calling people out just for the way they dress, for dressing flamboyantly, so to speak.
Fuck you then, because I thought the whole thing was hate the sin, love the sinner stuff that they have. Like there's so even if you're gay and you have never actually committed the so-called sin that they believe in, they still don't want them. So if according to your belief, these people have been challenged more with temptation and they have resisted even more temptation than the rest of you, and they haven't done anything about it, and you guys don't even include these people. Should be your fucking saints. I don't understand, you fucking hypocrites. No, so fuck you, Pope Francis. Okay, so anything in the YouTube live chat?
Let's see here. Soraya says you need to be a friend with them to fight bad ideas, right? But there are some who go beyond reason. We just got a distance with them. Yeah. Michael says you think about other denominations. Jack says this prick compared transgender rights to the nuclear arms race.
I read that.
Yep. I can't be friends with people who support the transgender rights is equal to nuclear weapons are bad. Absolutely.
Well, I disagree. Okay, so you agree with them. I already read Moose's Soraya. Okay, yeah, we read everything. Let's go to the next news.
Next news. Sabari Mala, India activist held for explicit thigh photo. In an
Fucking hell.
yeah, 32-year-old telecom technician, activist, and model Rihanna Fatima was stopped by protesters from entering the Sabarimala Shrine, which has been historically closed to all of women of menstruating age. The shrine management says the ban on women is also because the temple deity, Lord Ayappa, was a bachelor. In Hinduism, menstruating women are regarded as unclean and are not to participate in religious rituals. India's Supreme Court overturned the ban in September, which allowed women of all ages to visit the temple. Miss Fatima and one female journalist trekked to the hilltop shrine and managed to reach the main temple premises in October. They were accompanied by more than 100 policemen, but they had to return after a standoff with devotees meters from the temple sanctum. She was arrested at her office and was sent to prison for 14 days to allow investigation.
Wait.
Her employer has suspended her until investigations are complete.
Okay, there seems to be two different stories here. One is that the people at the temple didn't want women to show up there because their god is too horny to handle women, right? He's a bachelor, right? So that's why women.
That's correct. We reported on this in September, in late September, and there were 100 policemen had to whenever they finally released this ban, women immediately went to the temple, and they had to be escorted by 100 police officers because of the thousands of angry angry men who were out there saying that women shouldn't be in a temple of a bachelor god because it might make him horny.
Yeah, and the god is like bachelor, and he's also has a vow of celibacy, right? So they want to make sure these women don't tempt their god, right? But what's the now? But this is a story about a photo. How does the photo come?
So she stopped at the temple and she took a selfie in the temple. So this photo that you see of her glorious thigh was taken at the temple, and so. And this was in October, and then she was arrested in her office on Tuesday. They came up to her office and sent her to prison for 14 days, and they accused her of hurting religious sentiments.
Oh, fuck off! So the police had two different roles here. One was trying to protect the woman to be able to go to the temple, but the ban was lifted. Which is good. Thank you, India, for having some secular decency. But at the same time, fuck you, police of India, for arresting this woman for this picture, right? Like, what the hell? So first they protected a whole bunch of women to be able to go to the temple, but then they arrested this woman for taking this picture in the temple.
Yeah.
What is that thing on her forehead? Is that the
it's ritual smudging that they put on, and they wear black when they go to the temple because that's the color that appeals to the Lord Ayappa.
And this woman, she's an activist. These women are not.
Yes.
These women are. Heroes.
She was one of the pioneering women who got them to overturn the ban, and was one of the first women to enter that temple in years, in a long time.
So these women are not just going there to worship. These women are going there as a fuck you to anti-women rules.
That's correct.
Wow.
That's correct. And I also want to remind you, kind of playing the devil's advocate here, but thousands of men have been arrested for protesting women being at the shrine. But at the same time, they're also enabling these men to keep doing this whenever they are acting on these reports. And because that's basically what happened, is somebody called the police and said, hey, she just took this photo. She's angering the god. She put it on Facebook. You have to come in and arrest her. And they did.
And what city is this in?
This was in I don't remember the name of the city.
If you
Sabarimala, it was the Sabarimala Shrine, and it's in
what's her name? What's the name of the activist?
Her name is Rihanna Fatima.
Okay, so if you live close by, she's losing her job for this, right? Like her employer is like
right. Her job was in Cochin, and she was a telecom technician at this company, and it's called BSNL. I'm not sure what it stands for, but they've suspended her until the investigation is complete.
So if you own a business and you're close by in India, in this whatever city she's in, if you want to support this kind of activism, if you want to support secularism, please hire somebody. Please hire this woman and give her a job so that there's less consequences to what she did.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Good job, her. Like this, I don't know if people in India know that these are the people. This is the face of people that are making sure that this kind of bullshit doesn't influence. Like a lot of other women, this is a lot of women that would never know her name are going to benefit from her work for years to come. And these are the people that are basically break the barriers, like to what's limiting other. And people think that this is just about going to a temple or not. No, this is a fight against double standards. This is a fight against rules that are anti-woman. And when you set a precedent like this, if you're successful, it sets a precedent for all other laws that are anti-woman. So this is the exact frontline activism that we need. Like as much as I would never be as brave as this woman that is taking.
Yeah.
She took these risks knowing what could possibly happen. Like this woman is a hero. Again, what was her name again?
Absolutely.
Rihanna?
Her name is Rihanna Fatima.
Fatima. Good job, Rihanna.
Mhm.
Let me see what the top comments are. This is you. What the fuck is this picture? Now our YouTube is gonna get removed. Okay, so top comment from India. Not for showing her thigh, but for hurting religious sentiments. She deserves it. Oh fuck! That's the top comment. What the hell? So I think this is a Hindu person from India saying that. Well, I mean, I hope 1,000 other women come and hurt your sensitive religious sentiments, you fucker. I'm not gonna read that one.
Well, you hurt the sentiments of somebody that actually exists. So how about you just engage with reality and shut the fuck up?
If your religious sentiments get hurt that much, it needs to be hurt 1,000 more times until you get over it. You can you can desensitize.
Yeah.
Like
if you're offended, good.
Yeah, good. Mission accomplished. Fuck you.
Yep.
Vincenzo is saying they'll teach her for having legs. Okay. This person that I cannot even try to pronounce, saying wrong, not for thighs, but for religious things she wear. No, yeah, because she's a woman.
You realize that when you make this argument, like how ridiculous you sound, right? It was because of religious sentiments. Like, how is that any better? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, your religious sentiments matters only to you. It shouldn't matter to the rest of us. Yeah. Soraya is good to have here right now in the live chat. So, first, Soraya is from India. He usually has a lot of good information. So Soraya is saying, "Oh, thanks, Rihanna. Fatima was sacked for Section 295A. The law is used as blasphemy law. R.I.P. logic of my country." Well, I mean, it's good that there are people in your country that are fighting against this bullshit, and still, the police removed this law that didn't let women go to this temple. So there's progress. There's some hope. Soraya is also saying, like Zubin Madden described once, the law was made by Britishers to seclude rights of people. Later, after independence, it became a disaster, but religious people has the major. So I think what you're saying, that they brought this law, but then the religious people took advantage of it. Soraya is saying, yep, Gnostic Nation is working on that. We are already trying to secure her rights of job. Oh, good job, Soraya. Great job. Good. So it's already happening. But don't, if you were thinking about reaching out, what is this thing called? So, Gnostic Nation. So go look that up, see if they could use some support. So here's another comment. I think this is also from India. I'm not sure. This person is saying she's very bold and mocks Hindu religion without no fear. She does? She mocks Hindu religion? Wow, I'm now a bigger fan of her. but can she dare enter a Muslim mosque with half-naked leg alone with the burqa? I don't. Well, I don't suggest that. I don't want her. That's suicidal. I think. Like we just because. Okay, this is. I thought this is going to be a good comment. This is a bad comment. Because she's doing something that is braver than most of us would ever do, and now you're raising the standard by saying, "Well, will she do this?" I mean, come on, she's taking so much risk than any of us took, and now you're saying, "Well, she wouldn't do something even more risky." Like, I don't understand. The only response to this woman is thank you. And then this guy is continuing. No woman is allowed to pray in a mosque, even with burqa, or say a word against polygamy and child marriage. Yes, or justice system is very strict on minority rights. Okay, if you this is, I think, I'm not sure, but I think this guy is making excuses for Hinduism by comparing it to Islam, and I always hate that when apologists for Hinduism do that, because if you compare things with Islam, almost everything is going to look good. Okay, your batshit bullshit crazy ideology doesn't have to be the most batshit bullshit crazy ideology for it to be harmful, and for us not to worth fighting it. Okay, yes, fighting for women's rights in mosque would be riskier. Islam is more dangerous than Hinduism. But that doesn't mean Hinduism is not nonsense. That doesn't mean it's not worth fighting for women's rights under Hindu ideology. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure that this woman has done more than you would ever. But almost sure.
Yeah. When it comes to harmful ideology, instead of addressing the harmful ideology in question and just saying, yeah, well, this one's worse, all you're doing is allowing the lesser the lesser problem perpetuate, because you're not giving that any attention, because you're drawing all the attention away from it and saying, yeah, well, what about this? This is bad. This is worse. That's it's not productive.
Uday is saying that temple law is a red herring. There are temples in India where men are not allowed. Well, fuck up. Is that?
I actually did some research on this. There are temples where men are not allowed on certain days, or there are. But this is a temple where women were not allowed, like at all, of menstruating age at all.
Right. Yeah, there's a double standard against women in almost all religions. So if you want to compare, I'm pretty sure Hinduism is more anti-woman than anti-man. But if you want us to be consistent, they fuck all the sexist temples. How about that?
There you go.
They is saying comparison of Hinduism and Islam is inevitable. For any Indian, given that there are 200 million. Yeah, I'm not saying don't compare Islam with Hinduism. I compare ideologies all the time. What I'm suggesting is that saying Islam is worse is not an excuse for people not to go after Hinduism, right? No, compare it as much as you want. I think it's very interesting to compare ideologies with each other. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else in Facebook. Okay, so... Okay, Uday is saying Hinduism is more anti-caste than anti-woman. Yeah, well, thank you for admitting that it's also anti-woman. But yeah, I agree. It's more anti-caste than anti-woman, but it's also anti-woman.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the next news.
Married paramedics forced out of job because they are lesbians. Sherry and Alyssa Monk, a married couple who worked together as paramedics and volunteer firefighters in a small town in Alberta, Canada, were apparently forced out of their jobs merely because they are lesbians. They said that they were expected not to talk about their personal lives or even use the word wife. They filed a complaint with Alberta's Human Rights Commission about how they were treated.
Wait, this is in Canada? Alberta?
Yes, that's correct. It was in Alberta, Canada.
Jesus, this is supposed to be one of the most secular, countries in the world. So wait, was this a private company?
No, I mean we're talking about paramedics and volunteer firefighters. I'm not sure how they are funded. I'm not familiar with Canadian law, but it's with
But this is
uh,
illegal, whether it's private or not, though. In Canada, this should be illegal in Canada. Like this, they can't get
right,
away
right.
with this.
This is in I believe it's called Pincher Creek, and it's about 2 hours south of Calgary. Um, and it's just I don't know. This
This
is a
is.
really
I don't even know who.
ridiculous situation.
I mean, what they were they thinking? They like this is in Canada. You can't get away with shit like this in Canada. Like, are you serious? Like these people.
Right.
This was a fucking. This company just invited a whole bunch of nightmare for themselves. Like, are they? Like, where do they think they are? This is not the United States. This is Canada. Like, so, no,
Yeah.
but this is. I don't understand how they like. Did they not? Is this a big? Did they not consult anybody? They don't. You can't do that. Like, I'm waiting to see what's gonna happen to them.
So in May of 2017, they were called into the office for the first time from the deputy chief. Her name was Margaret Cox. She's retired since then. But so the entire conversation started with, and I quote, "This isn't because you are gay, but there are some people that will never accept a same-sex marriage and are offended by the use of the word wife." And so
Well,
then
they
after
can
that
go fuck
conversation,
themselves then. What the fuck? It's not their problem. They should quit. Go find another job where everybody is like an asshole like they are.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and they started recording their conversations from then on out, and
Good job.
it
These people are great. I love them.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy. It's really hypocritical because in this particular station, there were 5 married couples that were working there, and they were one of them, but they weren't allowed to participate in any conversations that they were having, and that they weren't welcome. And some of their other fellow coworkers said that it was because their behavior offended their religious beliefs. Or
Fuck your religious beliefs. Seriously, fuck your
yep,
religious beliefs.
yep,
Your religious beliefs is your problem. It's not other people's problems, okay?
exactly. If your religious beliefs is the only justification you have for not liking somebody, then fuck you. I mean,
Look,
seriously,
you can have
like
your religious beliefs, you could practice your religious beliefs, but it's not other people's problems, all right?
exactly. And it is not our duty or their duty as people who do not subscribe to your belief system to respect your belief system. We do not have to refrain from using words that offend you, like a married lesbian couple using the word wife. What else are they going to use? Husband? I mean, what other word would you want them to use? I mean, it's like the religious theist. It's like they believe that they have a monopoly on marriage, or a monopoly on companionship, or a monopoly on love, for that matter.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
You know, but again, this is like our previous story. These women are beyond just victims of the situation. I think these women are heroes, because it's not like, this is not just a story of a company doing some people wrong. This is a story of a company of doing some people wrong and them fighting back, and by doing so making it easier for a whole bunch of people that come after them, right? So
Absolutely.
this is great that they did that. They were smart enough to do the recording, and they were brave enough to fight against it. So good job, you guys. I don't understand the top comment. Can you help me decode this? Rusty is saying, when you're saving my ass. I think this meant to be you are, not you. I don't know what this. Yeah, I'm not sure. When you're saving my, I think there's supposed to be a question mark here. I'm not sure. I don't care about your gender, race, sexuality, or even religion. I don't know what this.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what he's saying is that if you're working in emergency services, like a firefighter
Oh
or a
no, I read it
paramedic,
all wrong. I thought
he
this guy.
doesn't
No,
he
okay,
doesn't care
no, no, no.
if they're lesbian,
Let
as
me
long as they're trying to
let me
save
read
your
it again.
ass.
Sorry, I'm being an idiot. So Rusty is saying, when you're saving my ass, I don't care about your gender, race, sexuality, or even religion. Okay, sorry, Rusty. I don't know. I had a brain freeze. But brain fart. I think that's the right term. But no, yeah, that's yeah, that's right. But um, I don't I don't think you should. I would want to correct Rusty. I don't. You shouldn't be caring about people's race, sexuality, and gender, even if they're not saving your ass. I think.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's easy not to care when they're saving your ass because you need them.
Or how about this? It's easy to not care about who somebody is fucking when you're not the one fucking them.
Well, I mean, again, you
Like,
have to put yourself. Again, this is my argument for why you have to go at the root of their ideology rather than telling people, "Oh, you shouldn't care about people sleeping with whoever they want," because to them, no, we should care because this is God's law. As it's my duty to tell you that you are, to try to bring people back to God and get people to abide by a set of rules. This is my religious duty, and
I
this is.
mean,
But
it
no, but
it
again, the problem is the religion, not the like. If you want to adjust people's conclusions without actually acknowledging the premises, you're not going to have much success. But go on. Sorry.
Okay, let me acknowledge the premise then. If you wear clothing that is blended with more than one fabric, if you eat shellfish, if you work on Sundays, if you I mean, if you do any of these things, then I mean, you have no room to talk because this is just as much of an abomination as homosexuality is according to the Bible. Because yes, it is Old Testament. Yes, there is some New Testament references, but I'll call bullshit on that too. You guys just try me on it.
Okay. Harmon is saying, I have a difficult time trying to understand why people get so upset by the lives of other people. Well, I have there. It's because religion and stupid beliefs. That's why. Holly is saying,
Yeah.
who cares who they love or sleep with when they're saving our lives in an accident, for fuck's sakes. Scott is saying, two less paramedics to save lives out there. I trust the religious leaders are happy. I hope that's not the case. I hope that they're gonna get their job back, and I hope they win shitload of money in a lawsuit. Gavin is saying, come and work over here in UK. More than welcome here. Guys, this is not reflective of Canada. I don't know if you understand how this is unrepresentative of Canada.
Right.
Let me see what the YouTube live chat is saying.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say. I mean, think about how ridiculous that sounds. Like if I said, yeah, I think that straight people should be allowed to get married and they should have rights and straight people need to be loved too. But why do they have to flaunt it? Why do they have to shove it in our face? Why do they have every time I turn on the TV, all I see is straight people kissing? Like
Well, actually,
it's
I think if you say it about straight people, you might have okay. So here's the thing: you might say that's double standard, but
of course it is.
But I think there should be a double standard because I think gay people should shove their gay lives in everyone else's faces because it needs to be normalized.
Exactly. So you believe that there needs to be a double standard in order for there to be one standard?
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. So some people say like straight. We shouldn't say gay people are shoving their lifestyle in our faces because look, we have a lot of straight people on TV and everywhere, and nobody is upset about that. But I think, well, no, actually, gay people should go even further because gay people are discriminated against. So highlighting, normalizing, homosexuality is important. No, there's no need to normalize heterosexuality, right? You know what I mean? So, so I think, bring more attention to it. Then I'm happy if it's even more represented than straight relationships. Muskel is saying this is discrimination. This company, this is are they I think she's saying, are they suing the company? I hope so. I think Jack mentioned something somewhere. Where is Jack? Said something about
they filed a complaint with the Alberta Human Rights Commission.
Good. Well, they should sue.
Yeah, absolutely, they should.
Yeah, Jack is saying UK definitely doesn't get a better reputation than Canada. I ran away from the UK. LOL. Oh wow, I would like to know details about that later.
Yeah,
Anything?
absolutely.
Okay, so anything? Should we go to our final? Wait, hold on. Okay, loading. Okay, final story.
Sure. Einstein's letter calling God a product of human weakness sells for $2.9 million. Albert Einstein's God letter was sold for $2.9 million. It is a handwritten letter by the theoretical physicist in which he grapples with the concept of religion. It was written in 1954 before his death and remains the most fully articulated expression of his religious and philosophical views. He wrote, quote, "The word God is for me nothing but the expression and product of human weakness," end quote. He writes, quote, "The Bible, a collection of venerable but still rather primitive legends." And it continues, "No interpretation, no matter how subtle, can, for me, change anything about this."
This letter. I don't was one of the. It's such a blessing to humanity that this letter exists. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 2.9. I think you should have been $10 million, honestly. And as a lot of people might say, like, "Oh, this is overpriced. What the hell?" But I think the higher the price, the more attention it would get, and the more attention it would get, the more people will actually read what was in the letter and think.
Right.
You know how many times they tried to tell us that Einstein believed in God? He himself was frustrated by during his own life by the number of people that tried to claim that he believes in a personal God. And I think
Right.
he with Stephen Hawking went through the same journey that Einstein
Yeah.
did, because they both used God and nature in a poetic way to describe things in nature, but not actually believing in a God, but just saying, like Einstein said, God doesn't play dice, and but then he realized that people are misrepresenting his belief, and he spent the rest of his life clarifying that he doesn't believe in a personal God. If he ever says anything that about religion or him a religious feeling, it was only about his appreciation for nature, nothing else. So I think that both of them realize that as much as fun it is, as much as poetic it is to describe things religious and God, even though you don't technically mean God or religion when you're talking about nature, it's harmful because people then think that you actually believe in nonsense, right? And Stephen Hawking also used God to describe things before, but then he came out and clarified, no, I don't. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in an afterlife. He clarified it many times. I'm so grateful that he clarified that many times
Yes.
before he died. I mean, these people should not be used as PR for religion, and I'm really glad they both clarified it. This God letter couldn't have made it any more clear.
Sure. And well, this was, something that's been passed around and sold quite a bit. The reason it made news this time is because it was how much it sold for, the substantial amount. It's the largest amount of any of Einstein's letters to go for. But what I find amazing about this is, out of all of our historical figures that we know that are atheists, as far as their declaration of their lack of a God belief, this is probably one of the most definitive that I've ever seen, as far as the letter goes, in his claims and in his
Right.
how sure he is. He wrote this letter 15 months before he died.
Yeah, and wow, glad he did that before he died. But I mean, he goes beyond saying he doesn't believe in a personal God or anything like that. He goes and calls it the product of human weakness. Like, he actually not only says he
Yeah,
doesn't believe in it, he actually takes a stab at it as well. Like, it's a glorious letter. It's so good. It's a
yeah.
gift to humanity. I mean,
There's so much more in there. He says that the Bible is childish. He thought it was funny how the Jews could be considered a chosen people.
and
Um,
remember, he's a
eh,
Jew. He was a Jew himself, like
yes,
ethnic
yep,
Jew, not a religious Jew. Go ahead.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, he had to escape into the United States to avoid persecution by the Nazis.
Right, from Germany. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. Yeah. Good thing he did that before shit hit the fan. But Yeah, so Muscal in the live chat is saying, has this letter been proven to be authentic? And
Oh yes,
yes,
absolutely.
very much so. My So Michael is saying in Facebook, God created Einstein. This is he's joking. God created Einstein to say exactly that. That's amazing. Can I get an amen and a donation? Mina is saying the biggest lie of all time, namely God ruined the entire joy and respect for life in humans' life, and the damage is beyond repair forever. Aw. Well, yeah. John is saying, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just hope that you don't think that it is the only source of harm in the world. Like some people I see claim that. That's that's not true, but it is the source of a lot of harm. But it's not the only source of harm. John is saying, truth, God was made up to explain things they couldn't understand. Um, okay. Probably purchased by religious organizations and promptly torched. No, I don't think so. Fred is saying, I heard God bought it. Okay, so Soraya is saying, a million times I have listened many people repeatedly speaking of Einstein believing God over his God doesn't play dice statement. Yeah, that and him saying science without religion is
His,
lame. But the people he didn't. By God he means nature. By religious he means some passion. He had to clarify that for the rest of his life. But go on, Jim.
Well, when he was making that reference to the God doesn't play with dice, he was actually answering the question of whether or not there's a personal God, a God that answers
No,
prayers
no,
or
no. He
or,
was
or,
talking
or
about
interacts with people.
No, he was making a statement about quantum physics and the probability formula, and he doesn't believe that it is based on a probability formula. He was talking about nature and how he thinks nature is determined. It's not based on probability, you know. So he was just referring. He was just being like, he
Yeah,
was just
right,
saying
right.
he was just saying nature is not based on probability formula. That was just a statement about physics that had nothing to do about God, right? Uh,
I disagree. He was saying that basically saying that God doesn't set things in motion. Like God didn't create things. So whenever, like you said, whenever he referred to God in like the cosmological sense, like to where
the
he
pantheist
said,
God.
yeah, exactly,
Spinoza's God. It's just a
right,
poetic way of
right.
referring to nature.
Yes,
Right.
right, and he's even said like the idea of God is something that's too vast for the mind to conceive, and it was quotes like that that made people
Think that he believes.
um yeah.
But then good thing there's another fake story that goes around with Muslims a lot, that he was about the student in a class that said, I don't know, some stupid story they keep repeating, like, and then the student was Einstein, like something like that. It's so cringy. It's so cringy. I don't know. I don't want to.
He by his own admission said that he lost religion at the age of 12. So from the age of 12, he said that he's been agnostic. He's never claimed to be an atheist, but he has used the word agnostic before.
Right, but I think some atheist. A lot of people, when they referred it before other people like Bernard Russell clarified it, they seem to think that the word atheist is making a positive claim rather than a position that you withhold belief until there's an evidence. So I think
Right.
that's why they didn't use the word atheist. But by the definition of the word atheist that we use, I think all of these people were atheists. Anyways, that was our. Let me actually see what Soraya is saying. Yeah, quantum physics is totally uncertain in its results, but he specifically said about that only was confusing. Yeah, and actually Einstein was wrong. This is one of the things that Einstein ended up being wrong about the probability thing. Quantum. So, okay, so let me see if there's anything on Facebook. No, that was about it. So yeah, thank you everybody. Old Scratch, Muscal, Soraya, Christy. Yay, Christy's here. Again, Christy, the only reason I didn't read was because Atheist Republic wasn't tagged. It gets orange for me, so that's the only ones I read. But I love having Christy here in the live chat. Beach is here somewhere, I think. Mike is somewhere here. Vibrantly. Who else? So Old Scratch. I said Jungle Jargon. Who else? Jack. of course, Jack, thank you for being here. And also on the Facebook, Grant, thank you for your comments on the Facebook live chat. Frankie, Morris, Blake, who else? Let's see. The whole bunch of people on the Tim. You guys are awesome. Robert just joined, but we're leaving Robert now. You joined late, but it's going to be on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel. Everything will be there, and we're going to cut this into pieces and release it throughout the week. Please go and comment on when we put this on YouTube, when it's not live anymore. Please go and suggest new stories to Anna to cover next week. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for correcting us when we were wrong, especially Jim. You corrected me today. And thank you for disagreeing with us. And see you all again next week. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.